Like in the morning, it is Friday before college football season. We've made it, folks. Might not be the exact menu that we want tomorrow, but it's going to be a heck of an appetizer, and it will kick off, and you'll be able to watch live tackle college football on your televisions at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. We are coming off the Jox kickoff party last night. Great event, good people, fun conversations. The weather tried to ruin it, and it did not. Ended up being, I think, maybe even a little bit better with how the weather kind of pushed us under the tent and then got us inside. But, G-Mac, it was fun to be able to visit with all the listeners, have some great conversations last night.
It was amazing, and loved every second of it. Great.
Other than running out of hot dogs for you and I, it was great.
Yeah, well, we go back for hot dogs. I thought the burgers would be spoken for. I did not think the hot dogs would be gone. I got to be honest. I didn't see that coming. So I just decided to go with an extra bag of cookies. You know, just the way it goes. Felt like an easy fix, but the hot dog was preferred.
Give me first thing, what you're most looking forward to about tomorrow's college football slate.
It's definitely Iowa State, Kansas State. I'm not sure it's close, and partly because I think both teams are interesting for very different reasons. I look at Iowa State, and while they had some challenges at times on the defensive side last year, that traditionally has been a great defensive outfit. I'm really curious to see how they replace their wide receivers. I look at Kansas State. Kansas State traditionally been great along both lines of scrimmage. You new faces in there this year on both lines of scrimmage, but Avery Johnson's kind of a guy that many believe could transcend the position. Now, I'm kind of in see it to believe it mode, but he's gained 15 pounds of good muscle. He's supposedly just as athletic as he was. He's got a better supporting cast at wide receiver. I think there's going to be a lot to like about this upcoming season for both these teams. And it's unfortunate that one has to start with an L in Dublin because I think both could make the playoff. I really believe that.
I think they're both going to be in contention for it. And obviously quarterback play is going to be massive for both. But I'm interested to watch that game. Interested to kind of see some of the periphery for Iowa State because last year was pretty good. I mean, the Houston Texans drafted 2 of their wide receivers. So that part's going to be a little bit different, but we know what that team's makeup usually is and should be just that again this year. Kickoff party was great last night, some of the conversation. I was really intrigued by some of the questions that some folks had. A lot of people were interested in, a couple quarterbacks around the league, a couple of different teams around the league. Obviously, some of the conversation not going to be able to share on the air. That was fun with a lot of folks as we shared a table with Hastings and some others. Got to see Legend for a little while. So Golden Domer had his special gold fedora. Not fedora. What do we call those kind of hats?
I think not a fedora. Legend had a fedora.
Yeah.
It was like a mailman hat.
Mailman? No, it's not what I would call that. The golly, what do we call that? The Rudy's buddy wore one in Rudy the whole time, did he not?
Rudy's dad?
No, the janitor guy.
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like when he's clapping, he's wearing one. Towards the end.
He is.
It's a GIF. Yeah. I can't remember what that thing's called, but he had like special.
I'm just typed in men's hats. Oh, I got you. Hang on 1 second. Ivy cap.
Ivy cap.
Yeah.
That was not in my vocabulary, by the way.
That was, yeah.
Did not have that.
Have you heard of a balklava hat? Not baklava. Balklava.
Honestly, I thought that was like a dessert.
Yeah, I get that all the time. The Greek fest.
It is like a Greek dessert. Normally, have you heard of a pith helmet or a kepi hat?
Neither, or. What was it?
Have you heard of a fez?
A kith helmet?
Mm-hmm.
Is that like that?
A pith helmet, P-I-T-H.
I thought it was Kith, like the brand in New York that like makes all the.
No, a pith helmet's like
Nikes.
the guy in Jumanji that was trying to kill Robin Williams and like shoot. I don't even know, like shoot him. He's like a jungle guy. That's what a pith helmet is.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, Indiana Jones with half of it rolled up.
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of. No, that's like the guy in Jurassic Park that had it only rolled up on one side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Shoot ha! That guy. Remember that one?
It's been a minute.
Clever girl.
I think so. Yeah. All right. There we go. Golden Domer says golf hat. Tweed hat,
Ivy hat
or driver hat.
Ivy cap.
Driver hat, I think
Ivy
I've
cap.
heard. Yeah, that's I honestly wouldn't have known what to call that, but he has
I'm
a special
gonna
gold
go with pith helmet.
Their pith helmet.
That feels right.
Pith helmet works.
I didn't ask Domer last night if he likes the new sports-specific logos that Notre Dame's going to roll out this year. Have you seen these, GMAC?
Yeah, they're awesome.
I love it. I love the football one. It's basically what Western Kentucky did with positions on the helmets a couple of years ago, but they're just doing it with sports. I think it's pretty sweet.
Very cool. I really like it. And it's clean. It's not like it's forced. It doesn't look out of place. It's literally, it looks like the Irish leprechaun that's trying to fight, but he's just, instead of his hands being in a fist, he's got high and tight 3 points of pressure on the football. I think it makes sense. Because not only are you telling us what sport he's playing, you also are giving good, subtle, subconscious reminders on how to carry the football so you don't fumble it. It's a teaching mechanism.
There you go. Okay. Just before we went out to the Jox Kickoff party last night, there was some massive news dropped by the Southeastern Conference. It has now been made official that the SEC will go to a 9-game conference schedule. And we gave you a little bit of a hint probably 2-3 months ago that the College Football Playoff Committee was going to implement some new criteria. Strength of schedule was going to be a massive part of that. I thought it was the main reason that Greg Sankey eased up on the automatic qualifiers because he knew his schedule was in time with how this was going to be put together, more likely stronger than all the others in all the other leagues. And now with that in place, I think he knows this is the time for us to go to 9 because that will essentially assure us multiple spots based on that strength of schedule and where it is and what it's going to be. The only question, GMAC, that I would have had for Greg Sankey would have been why now? What were your thoughts on why that would take place exactly when it did?
Well, I know exactly why it took place when it did. One, it kind of puts pressure on the Big Ten, which we love. Two, it is 48, 72 hours after the big announcement from the CFP saying that strength of record, strength of schedule will be weighted more heavily in years to come. That's what was it, 48 or 72 hours?
72.
Couldn't have been more than 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, it's about 2 days.
Yeah. So those are the two big things. What I love most about this is that they not only were able to get this in before the regular season comes up, because then it would be lost in the shuffle. Like, they get it out before the season goes. It gives you clarity. We already knew they were going this direction. Like, I knew this was going to happen.
When are we?
Not surprising.
When and how much are we going to hear about the new media rights deal is going to be worth? I mean,
this afternoon.
It's not going to stay, correct? I mean, there's no way it stays where it is. So
I give it 5 hours. I don't know. Okay. I don't know if they want that to be an afternoon news dump, depending on how much it's worth. Because if it's good, then within the next 5 hours. If it's not that significant, it'll be tonight at 9 p.m. Central Time.
No.
We'll see. So either way. Here's kind of my thoughts on it, though, but it applies pressure to the Big Ten. I loved what they said in their statement, just from an SEC fan's perspective here. They not only said, hey, we're going to play 9 conference games, but guess what? We're still playing that one game against non-conference Power 4 competition. I loved that line. You know why? Because Kurt Cignetti and Indiana and other Big Ten teams have been able to cancel non-conference games against Power 4 competition because they said, well, the SEC, they don't play 9 conference games. They don't play 9. They only play 9 games against the Power 4. We're only going to play 9 games against the Power 4. The SEC basically said, here, you guys run along and play Powder Puff. That's cool. We're going to play 10 Power 4 games. What are you now going to do about it? Because when Indiana's sitting there at 11-1, with wins against 3 Powder Puff competition teams, then the SEC is going to say, hey, yeah, that's cool that you went undefeated in your non-con. We might have lost one in the non-con, but we played one of the best teams in the country, and we're 10-2. We're going to get in over you. And I think that's a great thing for the SEC moving forward. So I'll see what the Big Ten does in response.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how you counter it based on where you are and where the SEC is now going as far as to try to one-up it. I don't think that's going to be feasible, really, but now the SEC is going to go to 9 games. You'll have no divisions still moving forward. Of course, that wasn't really going to be something that they considered moving to, I don't believe. And it'll protect, a statement from Greg Sankey said this protects rivalries, increases competitive balance, and paired with our requirement to play an additional power opponent, ensures SEC teams are well prepared to compete and succeed in the college football playoff. It also evens the playing field for teams not named South Carolina, Florida, Kentucky, and Georgia, because they're going to keep that game. And now it's basically saying the rest of you SEC teams, they're doing it, so y'all have to go do it too. It will, however, force a lot of teams to change their schedules for the next, 8, 10, 7 years that those schedules have been put in place. That's something that's actually going to be – you're going to see some games canceled. You're going to see some games moved around. But obviously I think we're all in agreement that that's going to be for the better, other than those teams that are not going to get those games, which is a byproduct of this, Greg, that I kind of brought up yesterday and some folks got a little bit mad about. Go back and remember when we've had conversations on this show about lower levels of college football finding ways to make money and finding ways to find sustainable revenue. Because these pay games are going away. We told you on this show years ago that was happening, and everybody barked at it.
That 4 years ago?
Why should FCS ever consider spring? They need those pay games. Or really, which ones? Because we're about on the brink of having one a year for each team. That's not going to be enough for all those teams to go around and keep getting the money that they've been getting for a certain amount of time. So if you're not looking at ways to find sustainable revenue moving forward, and you're not the SEC, Big 10, Big 12, or ACC, be careful. Be very careful, because these pay games are going away.
How do you feel about the ACC in this scenario, digging in and saying, yeah, we're going to stay at 8 for now?
I look at it as another move by the ACC that is going to put them behind the 8 ball. It's going to be a little too late. Instead of being like Brett Yormark and being forward thinking and trying different things and looking at ways to do things that might not be what we've done in college football for 150 years or whatnot, it's another too little too late in my opinion. Now, does that mean what they say yesterday? Obviously, that's just a statement. Are they considering it? Are they looking at it? Could they still do it? Of course. But I don't know how you realistically can stay there for too much longer. I don't know. I don't know how you do it. Don't love it.
Well, their whole reasoning was.
I also don't think, Greg, if your ADs and presidents are not necessarily on board with it, you can't go out right now and say, yeah, we're planning on doing that or we want to get there. Because you can't get there without them. So.
No, you can't, but I'm amazed that they're like, we're satisfied with 8 plus our annual non-conference games that we love and cherish so much. It's like, okay, well, hang on a second. The SEC just adopted 9 plus those annual rivalry games that we love so much. So what's going on here? I think it's a mistake. If I'm going to be completely honest, if I were the ACC, I would keep it at 12. I would. Or excuse me, I keep it at 8. Because I don't think if they're weighing strength of schedule differently, I would make sure that I would keep it at 8 and I would force my teams to play 2 out-of-conference games a year against Power 4 competition.
You can't do that, though.
One of those might be Notre Dame.
If you're the ACC, Greg, you can't do that.
Why?
You're admitting your league is weak. You can't do that.
You can. You got to get to the playoff.
I know, but I don't think you can do it that way. You have to continue to kind of raise the ante on your league and hope that certain teams separate in your league. I think the perception of that would hit hard. I really do.
Okay, well, don't say it. Don't say it publicly. Say it privately. Say and guess what? Publicly, go out and support what Miami's doing this year by playing Notre Dame and Florida in the non-conference. Go out and support Florida State playing Bama and Florida in the regular season. Go out and support those teams that are playing those games that we just described. Let's go out and support Pitt, who plays Notre Dame and West Virginia this year. Like, I'm not saying you need to do it publicly and be like, you guys, we're going to play 10. No, like, just guess what? Hey, under the table, boys, we'll keep it at 8. But guess what? You're going to need to schedule more games against Power 4 competition that's legit, because we desperately need to make sure our strength of schedule numbers within our league are good. I'm not saying you got to go out there and put it on a poster board, but I think it'd be wise for them to play 2 games and keep it at 8.
It's an interesting thought. It is. I just think the perception of it would be, they don't have to say it, but folks like us are going to say it. And I think the further down the road you go, essentially you're just making your wager on another person's league or teams. Make the wager on yourself. that your teams will continue to try to get better, put more into their football departments, put more into their personnel, their players, and try to be better football teams. I think you have to have that confidence rather than saying, well, hopefully. Here's the other part of that. Where are those teams going to come from? The Notre Dame aspect is fine. I'm with you there, and I like that. And I wonder with what the SEC and the Big Ten are doing now by essentially limiting the amount of games out of conference that they're going to be able to play against other opponents. You know Notre Dame's going to go after some of those. Notre Dame can't keep playing the schedule they're playing the last couple of years moving forward. I don't think it can happen. If this is where we're going to go and this new format's put in place, I know we have a spot for them, but we know good and well that that's going to be up against some other teams now where their schedules are going to be better than Notre Dame's if it stays the way it's been the last couple of years. So does Notre Dame now start to look and say, hey, Michigan, we'd like to get that game back every year? And do they go to Michigan State and want to play a little bit more often? Do they go to some other Big Ten teams and say, let's get back into the mix here, we'll start playing again, and maybe an SEC team or two is able to schedule a few games with them, and they're able to go that direction because that's going to weaken Notre Dame's schedule comparatively to the SEC and the Big Ten if they keep saying, we're going to give you 4 or 5 ACC games a year. Sure, no problem. I can imagine they want to keep that going. So if that were to take place, you get in those games against who? Big 12? The new Pac-12?
No, I would do a scheduling alliance with the Big 12. 100%.
I just don't see how that's better than your league. And you keep more of the revenue in-house for you. You give yourself more inventory if you're the ACC. By doing that, I think you're sharing inventory with the Big 12. You got to keep it in-house because you need more. And the only way to do it truly is against yourselves, and you got to take that new revenue and put it back into your programs. To me, that's the only way to do it. But I do see where you're headed, and I see where you're going. We want your feedback on this. SEC going to 9 conference games, no divisions, 3 annual opponents. Who should they be? Alabama, Auburn, other schools. It's going to protect some of our traditional rivalries. Some schools not named Auburn, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama think this is foolish. Don't understand it. Don't like it. Don't want it. You tell us what you think. 800-239-9569 to get in. On the Higginbotham hotline, tweet in at Mac and Cube. Also coming up on the show today, Gerard Hamilton going to join us to talk Missouri at 8:45. So we'll get an update on that quarterback situation as obviously it appears that both are going to play early, and we'll see exactly where that's going to go. Is that just because Eli Drinkwitz wants to see a little bit of both? Is that because one hadn't taken the reins? Where do we think that that's going to be, and where do we think that that's going to go as well? And then at 8 o'clock this morning, we're going to try this again today. We tried it yesterday, but Mike Riepele, the new partial owner of the UFL, is going to hop on with us at 8 to discuss the Birmingham Stallions, the season ticket challenge. Should I be referencing that as something else?
What? Ransom?
And more. All coming up a little bit later here on Jox. First, I'm going to tell you about Train. We know that Alabama heat and humidity can be brutal. Last night it was the rain that was brutal for us at the Jox kickoff party, trying to avoid that. We were able to navigate it well. Kudos to Haney and Orlando and everybody else who kind of moved things around and allowed that to keep it going. You know that heat and humidity is brutal. Keep your family comfortable with an affordable Train cooling system. They recognize America's most trusted brand 11 consecutive years. And then the official cooling partner here at Jox. Find a comfort specialist near you at Train.com. It's hard to stop a train. More scheduled talk. Tweet in at Mac and Cube. Text in 205-834-9450. Next, right here on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 7:22 a.m. right here on Jox. 9-game SEC schedule. We want your thoughts. 800-239-9569. Tweet in at Mac and Cube. You want to be a part of the show. A couple of you guys still tweeting in about last night. Had an absolute blast catching up with everybody and discussing the college football season, the show. Just I think sometimes we always say we wouldn't be able to do this without the listeners, and we're very appreciative of you guys. But something was different last night. It was some of the comments that you guys shared with us, things you said about the station, us, three-man front, Feinbaum, the people who are behind the scenes doing things. Just it felt different last night. I'll just say that. And I'm very appreciative of some of the stories you guys shared with us, some of the thoughts you guys shared with us. It was really cool. I think a lot of times we view last night as for the listeners, but I really do believe that it ended up being just as much, if not more, for us than it was for you, because hearing your feedback and things that you like and some things you want to hear more of or some things that made you laugh or helped you get through your day, that helps us understand why we do what we do. And it was really cool for you guys to share that with us last night. We're very appreciative that you were there to do it. So thank you very much. 800-239-9569 to get in. We're going to continue talking 9-game SEC schedule. 3 conference opponents going to stay. This is something we've debated for a long time. It has come up multiple times over the years when the scheduling has been discussed, gone back and forth, different things along those lines. Who are those opponents going to be? We've kicked it over back and forth through the years. We think it should be this team. We think it should be that team. You tweet it in. You call in 800-239-9569 who you want it to be. Text it in 205-834-9450. Before we do that, G-Mac, tell our listeners about Bromberg's.
Well, Bromberg's where I've been going for years and years. I always appreciate the experience that I get every time I walk in the door, and I can't wait to see what the new version of Bromberg's looks like at the Mountain Brook Village store. They're renovating it right now. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be amazing. It's going to take that experience to the next level. As if it needed any help, it was already fantastic. I can't imagine just how much better it's going to be. So go and check out Bromberg's. You'll be glad you did. The sales staff's amazing. The natural diamonds are incredible. You'll also see gold, silver, platinum jewelry that is one of a kind and priceless in some cases, and it'll be in your family for multiple generations. So go and check out Bromberg's in Mountain Brook Village or at the Summit.
All right, if we looked at the 3 permanent opponents that are going to stay on SEC schedules, Greg, let's start with Auburn and Alabama. Obviously, they'll play one another, so that'll be the first for each other. The Iron Bowl is not going to go anywhere. I think we know that. Next would be Alabama for Tennessee, correct? That's one that just cannot be messed with. That one has to stay.
Yes. I already know who's playing who, right? Do you?
I mean, I was going to allow that to just be radio, but sure, go ahead.
I mean, Bama Tennessee is staying, and I think Bama LSU is staying. So I think that'll be good. Bama Auburn, Bama Tennessee, Bama LSU.
Because that's when this was kicked around and Coach Saban was still coaching.
Correct.
That he had a problem with it, and everybody was like, hold on. He must know a little something that's going on there, because if Tennessee was really good at the time, LSU was really good at the time, and the Iron Bowl is the Iron Bowl. So, yeah. From an Auburn perspective, some of these are debatable when you get to the third game. I mean, there are some people that would say, well, you've brought up Alabama, Mississippi State before. Some people would say Ole Miss. Some people would say Georgia, because what that game has turned into, I don't think you can. First off, you can't project what those games are going to be hopefully 10, 15, 20 years from now. So you can't say, well, look how good they are. They can't play. Look how good. A lot of people last night wanted to know look how big came from. I had to tell the story about Damian Mama, and I believe it was his first second or third season at USC, and it was that opener against Alabama. And everybody's like, 385. Look how big. That didn't go well for USC that day, by the way. So that's when the ultimate point was proven that just being big doesn't mean you're going to win. It doesn't mean that you're good. Your thoughts on Auburn's 3 permanent opponents? Obviously, the Iron Bowl and the Georgia game, yes. Not one that's going to be messed with.
Bama, Georgia, Vandy. And people are saying, why Vandy? Well, because you get the 2 best teams in the last decade and change because of win percentage. So in order to balance
other people would
the
say,
scales,
why Vandy? Because obviously we've seen what's happened in recent memory. And Could it not have been?
Oh,
like
Diego won't be there forever.
Some Auburn fans might rather have Oklahoma or Kentucky on the schedule.
I don't know, Greg. You say that.
Barring some unexpected eligibility rulings, I think Diego will at some point graduate, so maybe that won't be as much of an issue as it once was. But I think it makes sense, though. Like you basically get two of the most historically significant programs in the SEC in terms of wins. And in order to balance it out, you get the most manageable SEC opponent traditionally in Vandy. So I think it makes sense. I know some people would say, well, I'd rather have LSU, I'd rather have Florida, what have you. All that makes sense to me. But I think if you're trying to make things equitable, you give Vandy when pairing it with Auburn, with Bama and Georgia. I think it makes sense. From an Auburn fan's perspective, Cole, where do you see it?
I think it does make sense if you're going to get those two. And what was the formula that was put together? Like overall record last 10 years, win percentage, something along those lines. So we have a pretty good idea of what was utilized here and how mathematically some of these were formulated and put together. I realize that has to be a part of it. For me, it would have been to gone back and just look at games and meaningful games and where some of those rivalries were and have been over the last 15, 20, 50 years. And that's going to be tough to do. I also think, listen, if you're the SEC, there's enough money to go around, but I do think geography should have been a part of this. That was brought up to me. I think Pelham Gamer brought that up to me last night. He was like, why can't Auburn play Florida? He's like, it's the closest SEC school to Florida. It's a 4-hour drive. It feels like it would make sense. And when you hear that from a fan, it does make sense. Like that's one thing. That's one of the ways I think you look at Alabama, Mississippi State, and you say, man, those schools are 40 minutes, 45 minutes away from each other. Like you would just think, it's right down the road. Visiting fans, much easier to be able to get back and forth. Those kind of things would come into play. With where we are now and the geography being spread out a little bit, it's not that easy. It's not that simple.
No.
But I do think certain things like that should have been taken into consideration. But that mathematical equation, probably number one, and then teams that the two schools wanted to continue to play would have been another. What was the most surprising for you of what the permanent opponents would be? Any SEC team? Actually, you know what? Wait, and answer that on the other side. We'll talk about the teams, who they're going to play, and then which ones you looked at and said, I'm not 100% certain that's where it should have been or why it should be that. We'll do that next on Jox. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. We'll take you through the rest of the SEC annual opponents as we move forward. Give us your thoughts on who you like, who you don't like, who makes sense, who doesn't make sense. Some pretty easy, I feel like. Ole Miss, Greg, probably the easiest out there. Mississippi State, you're going to keep the Egg Bowl, of course, and then you get Arkansas and LSU, two trinket games.
Wait, they got Arkansas or Vandy?
Ole Miss, I thought it was Arkansas, LSU, Mississippi State.
I thought it was.
You got to play for the. You got to play for the boot, and you got to play for the Flower Trophy.
Yeah, I don't know that one for sure. I only know a handful. I don't know all of them.
Vandy is. I think Vandy is Auburn, Missouri, Tennessee.
Interesting. Okay, I thought Vandy. All right, I thought Vandy was Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Auburn. But I believe, I 100% believe you. I have no idea when it comes to that one. I just know some of the games that we want to have protected. The Texas A&M that's still in there, which is great because Texas and OU would have had priority if they were to keep the 8-game conference schedule. Texas OU, Red River, was going to actually supersede Texas A&M. So Texas A&M would be off the schedule every other year, which would be a little irritating. So that game's protected.
But that actually,
I am curious.
But that, in my opinion, the team that it actually hurts, that this hurts, I'm not going to say the most, but the team that I think had to be one of the harder for the SEC was actually Texas. Because you're keeping A&M. I'm not talking about that game, of course. That's done. You can't get rid of OU. That's one of the better rivalry games in all college football.
Correct.
Arkansas makes a ton of sense. Like that's fine. But there are a couple of others like maybe Missouri that would have made sense there. I know there are a couple of games before that.
Not over
that people
Arkansas.
would have wanted to see. No. Listen, Arkansas, yes. But I'm saying you had to give that to Texas because then Arkansas gets Missouri, Ole Miss, Texas, but not Oklahoma, which would have made even more sense. But the reason I brought up Texas first is because they had to have those three. But it prevents Arkansas, I believe, from getting Oklahoma because Arkansas and Texas, I think you bring back that old rivalry and you want to get that going. Of course, Arkansas and Ole Miss has been maybe outside of Florida and LSU, the most bananas game we've got in the last decade in the SEC on an annual basis. And then Arkansas, Missouri play for the Golden Border Award medal piece. What's it called? The Border Challenge? The Real World Road Rules Challenge.
Border Battle?
Something, yeah, the battle of the teams.
The battle border.
That too. So, but my point in all that was I think Texas, and then with their relationship with Arkansas previously, it made it difficult for Arkansas because of what you were going to have to give Texas. You got to give them those teams. Oklahoma's going to get Florida, Missouri, and Texas. So Missouri and Texas, of course, make plenty of sense. I don't know where the Florida thing comes from.
Well, I don't really know. Now, tell me this with Florida. Like, who would you have protected if you were in charge of Florida?
Georgia's untouchable.
Of course.
I want LSU.
I agree.
Because I think sometimes in rivalries, there are things that have become ingrained that are not going to change. And there's not a lot of rivalries where administrations actually hate each other. And this is one that has turned into presidents, athletic directors, school administrators, not just fans. We've had crazy games, fun games, competitive games, meaningful games. But I also wonder too, Greg, if you're sitting there and you're like, okay, we're going to have Georgia every year. Do we really want to stuff LSU in there also? And then get stuck with the third one? The South Carolina rivalry thing, I feel like is kind of new there. But to not have, and I understand that there are some other schools that this, that, whatever, take South Carolina away from both and give Tennessee and Florida a game. We've had this conversation on this show. When I was coming up, and I think when some of the people a little bit older than me and a little bit younger than me were coming up, this was a top 5 most meaningful game in the league every single year. Every year. Every single year it was. And the fact that Tennessee is going to go through this entire process and not have Georgia and not have Florida as annual opponents, in my opinion, is the biggest mistake in all of this. And I realize that you have to give all the schools certain teams first. Like Tennessee, Vandy are going to be there first, and then Tennessee, Alabama are going to be there next. But I feel like it could have been an easy fix, and maybe South Carolina is just the problem here. but I felt like Tennessee and Florida were both sitting there to be able to play one another every year. Now, here comes the decimal points and the fractions and all the other math you did by not giving teams other opponents. I understand that part as well. But, man, that's one that I feel like it was right there on the table. We could have had it, and we don't.
Yeah. And I understand that. And there's going to be a few games
and on top of that, the next one in line would have been Tennessee, Kentucky. No? We're not even going to get that
probably.
one.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, they used to play for a trinket that's hidden in a closet somewhere.
But help me out for a second. From the SEC's vantage point, and I know there's going to be individual schools that will be frustrated with their draw, right? But if you're the SEC, you have to protect the needle movers.
No doubt.
This is ESPN. This is the SEC. This is the importance of protecting the games that actually will rate, regardless of how good those teams are on an annual basis. So, look, Kentucky, Tennessee might be a good one every few years, right? Every handful of years, it's a really important game. Tennessee's making a run. Kentucky's a spoiler. It's cold. It's snowing. It might be interesting. It's usually around Halloween. Like, I like that game. I always have.
Yeah.
But it's not a game that will be universally consumable from the SEC's vantage point. Like the games that I think they really want to protect are the Georgia Tennessees. You're
not getting that one either.
I'd like to see Georgia, South Carolina. Like that to me was a great one.
That's always
right?
like what? Like for forever it was week 2 or 3 or 4.
Thereabouts, yeah. It's like week 2 or 3, and neither team was a finished product, and it was always just a complete
a battle. It was
goat
physical.
rodeo.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was great though, but it was just we looked forward to that game early.
You're gonna have one team turn it over 4 times. So it's like every year. It's like, all right, who's gonna turn it over 4 times today? It was great, but I just there's a few games that like I'd like to see Bama, Mississippi State annually. Like those two teams in proximity are closer than any other in the SEC.
I feel like it makes sense.
Yet,
yeah,
it'd be great, but it doesn't make sense because the games that are going to really bolster the SEC's consumability are the games that will be prioritized. And Bama LSU is going to be prioritized over Bama Mississippi State. I bet if you look back over the course of the last 15 years, Mississippi State's had a lot of great years. But Mississippi State and Bama's highest rated game might have been the game that I called in 2016, which was about 6 or 7 million when Mississippi State was number 1 in 2015 or 2014. Maybe that was a different number, but I don't know. Probably 6-7 million. Bama LSU's getting 10. You know what I mean? Every year, thereabouts. So I think it's important to recognize that.
It is. Is there a team that you look at and say has a right to be upset with their draw, or maybe not even frustrated, angry with it, but just kind of look at it and say, what, like? How? What's the one that you look at as maybe most confusing of who everybody's going to get? For me, I would go South Carolina. Mm-hmm. Now, I will say this. South Carolina, Kentucky has turned into a very competitive game for – now, I know it was one-sided from the win perspective for like 8 straight years, but it felt like it was all – maybe it's because I had it like 4 or 5 straight years. But it always felt like a competitive game, one that kind of was that fork-in-the-road game for both those teams of one's going to 9 wins, one's might get 6 wins. But – yeah. I understand the Florida thing, the annual Spurrier rivalry, whatever it is. But Kentucky and Tennessee for South Carolina, that's just one that I look at and say, I can make sense of a lot of these, most of these, like 90% of these. That's one that I say I felt like there may, like you said, South Carolina and Georgia probably would have made more sense there. And you can't give all the good teams that have played one another for a long period of time and been great games, just make them play each other again because of this formula. Right. But that's one that I kind of look at and say, oh, I don't really know about that one. Because then, I mean, Kentucky and Georgia, meh. Kentucky, Mississippi State, and then Kentucky, South Carolina again. I don't really know. I mean, South Carolina and Texas A&M invented a trophy.
Yes.
I mean, that's the governor's game.
What more you need?
That's the governor rivalry of the governors. I don't know what it's called, but it's something. I mean, they made a damn trophy for each other. Like, how are they not playing? We're going to have to hold that. Somebody gets to hold that trophy for 4 years?
No, 2. They play every other year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but you feel like you talk about marketing and eyeballs, Greg, you're missing out on a trinket game.
That's fair, but here's my thing with the team like South Carolina. Ultimately, what's the game that's most important to South Carolina?
Clemson.
Okay. So, like, you still have that one. So, while it doesn't, there are 3 SEC competition games that they'll have annually. Yeah, maybe they're not historically the most significant games on their schedule, but they still have Clemson. So it's like, all right, we can sacrifice South Carolina's 3-game slate to protect some other games because ultimately for South Carolina, if they get the Clemson Tigers every year, they're in good shape.
And at least,
so I think that those teams that have a built-in ACC rival, maybe some of their SEC games were kind of moved to the back of the line because of what they have in the ACC annual crossover at the end of the year.
And at least with South Carolina, those are all former SEC East teams. So teams that they had played ever since they got into the league. It's not unlike, as opposed to like Oklahoma, who just got given Florida. Like, you guys are Jordan Brand. Y'all play together. Yeah, you guys do this.
Well, South Carolina's going back to Nike in a couple of years. So I think for 26,
is that out there? Are you breaking news?
No, it's reported yesterday. Somebody had a graphic for it that I saw.
Ooh, the old Thursday afternoon news dump.
Yep.
It's kind of what this was.
So
it's kind of amazing though. Like, look, I know I'm in television. So take my opinion, understanding from the vantage point that Cole and I come from. We're in television. Think about the inventory that you're going to have on a weekly basis in the SEC as a result of this 9-game conference schedule adoption. No longer will you have the FCS teams sprinkled in throughout the season. No longer will you have week 2 look as underwhelming as it does this year. Like, we are going to have a ridiculous inventory with 8 extra games that are high level every single year. So as a college football fan and as a college football season ticket holder, I am thrilled.
I can't remember who it was.
Everyone
Greg.
else looks at it the same way.
I think it was Jamie Bailey last night. We were talking, and he was asking me where I was week 1 and week 2 and whatnot. And we were just saying, and I was just like, hopefully this brings us more conference games earlier in the season. So week 1, week 2, as you just mentioned, that's what I'm hoping for here. We all want to see Lettuce Weekend go away. We know why teams have it. I would think that now, if you're some of these athletic directors and presidents, you want to try to get rid of that weekend because your strength of schedule is going to matter more, and the perception you're going to get by playing those teams later is going to help you. But we're also going to get some of these games week 1 and week 2, and that's going to be unbelievable. I mean, you start some sort of an SEC kickoff, and you pick a time in the network or whatever it's going to be, ABC, SEC kickoff, and you're getting 2 SEC teams play week 1 every year, and you just kind of rotate it. You know, Georgia, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, or LSU, Ole Miss, whatever you want it to be, Oklahoma, Florida, and you're starting to get that week 1. Maybe you have like a SEC kickoff doubleheader, and it's 4 SEC teams playing week 1. That's going to be tough to beat, man. We'll continue the conversation around this SEC scheduling moving forward. Your calls, 800-239-9569 with your thoughts. Text into the show, tweet into the show at Mac and Cube. Back with more right after this. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, talking SEC scheduling moving forward. Your call's on at 800-239-9569. Text in 205-834-9450. Who do you feel like made out well? Who do you feel like maybe didn't with where this future scheduling is headed? We give you our best thoughts on who we believe are going to play moving forward. You can also listen to the show online, joxfm.com. The app is in your app store. Download that. It'll take you to the YouTube, take you to the podcast. And you can just listen live or tell your home smart speaker to just enable the Jox skill.
Bill Smith Buick GMC is the GMC Dealer of the Year, the national championship of GMC dealers. They're incredible. They're all amazing deals when you walk on the lot. Like a GMC Sierra 1500 SLT, you can get $14,000 off the sticker price. You can get it for just over $53,000. That's an incredible deal. You can also go and get a Buick Encore GX. Is a nice, sporty, economical SUV. You can get it for under $25,000. That's $5,000 off the sticker price. It's deals like that that keep people coming back. That's why 75% of their business is repeat customers. It's because you have a better experience when you shop with Bill Smith. So take the short drive up to Coleman. You'll be glad you did. You can also shop online, have it delivered right to your driveway at Bill Smith Buick, GMC.com.
All right, so we do have a tweet into the show referencing some of the schedule discussion that we've had. AC's dad tweets in, Greg talked about schedule equity for Auburn with the inclusion of Vandy. I agree, but he can't hold that view across all teams. If Bama's 3 are Tennessee, Auburn, and LSU, it doesn't wash. Remember what Tennessee's record was before 2 years ago, the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's what you need to factor in. Tennessee was in the bottom half of the SEC when these schedules were starting to be formulated. They were in the bottom half of the SEC from a win standpoint. If you were in the top half, like Bama was, you get 2 top half teams, 1 bottom half team. If you're in the bottom half, you get 2 bottom half teams, you get 1 top half team to try to create some parity. Tennessee, prior to the last 2 or 3 years, was by far one of the worst teams in the SEC from a win percentage standpoint in conference. So that's why when you look at it now, yes, Tennessee looks like they're on the up and up, but over the 10 years prior to, not the case. And guess what? Bama does have one of the tougher draws, but guess what? Welcome. Good. Bring it on. Like, do you want to play lesser competition? Like, heck no. Like, you want to see Bama and LSU go away? You want to see Bama and Tennessee go away? Absolutely not.
No, I think what he's just saying though is if it's equal, it's equal. He did tweet in earlier that he wanted to see Tennessee, Auburn, and Mississippi State, and we both agreed with that. That from a historical standpoint, from a geographical standpoint, that feels like it would make the most sense. But the math was taken into consideration here, and you have to take into account when that math was created and what years it was for. And outside of 2 years, the last 2 years, I would almost like to go back and see the records from, let's see, so that would have been not 25, not 24. So 13 to 23, honestly, the SEC record for Vanderbilt and Tennessee. Because I bet you it wasn't too different. I'm not saying Tennessee's not ahead by a few, but I bet it wasn't night and day. That'll take some time to figure out. I can't do that while I'm actually doing the show. There's literally no way. Anthony tweets into the show at Mac and Cube, who has the hardest 3 SEC game slate with the 6 other rotating teams, which fan base will shout that it will be unfair as far as getting into the playoffs. Well, I think that's kind of why you go do this, though, is because it shouldn't make it more difficult to get to the playoff. This should make it easier for SEC teams to get to the playoff. Because what's going to happen now, and Greg, tell me if you agree with this, any team that's a 1-loss team that we look at and say, against who? And put them up against a 3-loss SEC team, even a 3-loss Big Ten team, or another team from the ACC or maybe the Big 12 that is a 1 or 2-loss team that we might not think looks as good as a Boise or a Liberty. All the committee now has to do is say, well, per our new Sagarin Rubik's Cubelic mathematician that we have on board, they tell us that that's wrong. Are you submitting
the Rubik's Cubelic as a possible metric in the future?
We'll allow them to take a look at it. We'll send them the results if they need it. They're not getting it early, but
gosh, Army and Navy are going to be Army and Navy just vaulted up the rankings.
Air Force. We'll send them the results if they need to use it. I wouldn't mind if they wanted to take it into account. But that's all they get to do now, Greg. When people want to argue, well, Liberty's undefeated. Western Kentucky's one-loss football team. They're going to say, oh, yeah, but this is what our new math told us right here. And we don't have to stand in front of you and give you our reasons. We don't have to talk about body clocks. We don't have to talk about some kind of other metric or whatever it is. Like they can literally just say, our pieces of paper told us you're wrong. So we're going to go by that. Thanks. And that's it.
Which
that's
is great. Which is great. Like, and guess what? What I also hope that they allow common sense to override this rule. Because right now, answer me this. You play the worst team in Power 5. Let's just call it Mercer. So they put it down as the 136th ranked team in the country. And you play the best team in the country. You go 1-1 in those 2 games. Guess what your average strength of schedule is right now? Guess what? What's 136 divided by 2? It's about 68, right? Because 1 plus 136, 135, that's 136 divided by 2, then you're at 68. If you play teams 68 and 69 and go 2-0, you're viewed as the same level of strength of schedule, but you have a better record. That's going to go out the window because we all acknowledge playing Texas and Mercer, going 1-1 is harder than playing Purdue and Northwestern and going 2-0. Correct? Like, what's harder to go 2-0? Texas and Mercer or Purdue and Northwestern?
What year Mercer are we talking about?
Same.
Because I didn't even know what the offense was.
It's
the last 2 years, then no. But
when Chronic was still there.
There you go. Yeah. Then it's going to be Mercer for sure. All right, we'll be back on the other side to continue talking SEC schedules with Mike Rapoli as well. All coming up next right here on Jox. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 8 a.m., hour number 2 underway. And going to get started off in a little bit of a different direction. We've been talking SEC scheduling, what that's going to look like for the next few years. We'll get back to that later this hour. Talk to Gerard Hamilton about Missouri's quarterback situation at 8:40, and then continue the college football conversation throughout the 9 o'clock hour with all the news happening yesterday. You can listen to the show online, joxfm.com. The app's in your app store. Grab it there. Tell your home smart speaker to enable the Jox skill. Watch live on YouTube each and every morning. Mike Rapoli joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline, new co-owner of the UFL, who has put a challenge out to the Birmingham Stallions fans that has made a lot of noise here in the Magic City. But before we do that, Mike, I have to ask you your thoughts on Fierceness this weekend. How are we gonna turn out here? How are we gonna go?
Well, Fierceness is not going to run until next weekend. So this weekend he's going to be fine because he's going to work with Mindframe on Saturday. But what I decided to do was I'm going to run Fierceness in the West Coast on the Pacific Classic, and I'm going to run Mindframe in the Jockey Gold Cup at Saratoga. So they're two of the best older horses in the country. We're going to split them up and hopefully go to the Breeders' Cup Classic in November 1st in California.
Okay, I'm just going to go. That's some breaking news here because I have some degenerate horse racing fans that listen to this show and are friends of mine that have all texted me to ask you that question today. So they obviously did not know that. So I know they're very appreciative of the information you've just shared with them there. So we appreciate that heads up.
All right. They got to practice horse racing if they thought the race was this weekend. So I wouldn't be taking any of their bets right now or recommendations.
I'll steer clear of that one. All right, you made a lot of noise here in Birmingham with the tweet that you put out about getting to 5,000 season tickets sold. I think the first question that a lot of Birmingham Stallions fans want to know is, what exactly did that mean? Is that the line drawn in the sand of 5,000 season tickets sold? Or if you're under this, you're not going to keep a franchise? We need to get close to this. Take us through your mindset of when you put that challenge out there as one of the new co-owners of the UFL, please.
Well, first of all, thank you, Greg and Cole, for having me on the show. So I appreciate it. You know, I love football. I invested in this league. I looked at it 2 years ago. I looked at it a year. I mean, I'm one of the, whether it's college football, pro football, or, USFL, UFL, XFL, just love football. It's just a great sport to follow. And, when I made the decision, to go partners with, Fox, ESPN, Redbird, Danny Garcia, and The Rock, it was, I watched a lot of games this year. I mean, I watched games everywhere, and I was just tired of watching these COVID-filled stadiums. I felt like I was back in 2020. So, I've had some fun this week with Birmingham and the fans. I mean, I hope they all took it as good-natured fun, but what are the chances of, like, the end of August and we're talking Stallion football instead of, with SEC football and college football starting in a week? So, really the challenge, Colin and Greg, was I needed to know if there was a pulse in this league anywhere, so I could have tried any market. And, I chose Birmingham strategically because, I'm in my 50s now, and I remember the Birmingham Stallions and the New Jersey Generals and the Houston Gamblers, and and then when I started watching it the last couple of years, I mean, the attendance has been low everywhere. So I want to thank all the Birmingham fans for pointing that out to me. But the reason why I chose Birmingham was, well, obviously, Southeast. I mean, you guys love football more than anybody out there, and this is a market where the team has been. This is like a sports dynasty there. I mean, they've had the best record the last, 4 years. They had 3 championships in a row with Skip Holtz. And I said, man, if we can't get people to show up at Birmingham, how am I going to get people to show up in the 8 to 12 other cities that we're going to be in one day? So, honestly, the interaction with the fans, has been great. I mean, I've learned so much about the market. I've learned so much about the fan base. I've learned so much about Birmingham. I mean, I had no idea there was a mayor – there was a mayor election on Tuesday. I got in the middle of that by accident, so it's been fun. I mean, I'm not. Greg, I know you're going to ask me next, but I'm not running for mayor on Tuesday. I just want to be very clear. I wanted to go on the record first. I'm not running this Tuesday, so just so everybody knows.
Is it bad that I live here? I didn't know there was a mayor election on Tuesday too. It's football season. I'm focused on one thing. I'm curious.
I think the Stallions got more attention than the mayor this week, so that's pretty cool, right?
I don't know. I'm curious this though. When you take into account the gate revenue, we all acknowledge the importance there. We do games every year. We know how weird it was to do games in empty stadiums during COVID. In college football season. It was very odd, it was strange, and it felt obscure. The environment is important and it sells. But help me understand the trickle down and the economics behind choosing markets that will support by way of television, because if you remove Birmingham Stallions, does that impact the viewership of the league because of how much football we consume on television in Birmingham? So how do you weigh the gate revenue versus the possible trickle down of removing a team from a market that would support by way of the television audience?
It's a great question. I think both are very important. And, I've watched a bunch of, whether it's UAB or Alabama or Auburn, usually the ratings are really high for those games, and the stadiums are packed too. So I do think we can do both, by the way. So both are very important. But Greg and Cole, the one thing that when I turn on the games, for a fan who's watching in another city, when they turn the game on, even though it's great, high-quality football, when a stadium is empty, you just don't feel like this must be a terrible game or it must be boring. I mean, if you guys went into, Harry's Steakhouse and there was nobody there, you'd say, guys, either the food is bad or it's bad service or both. So to me, both are important. The TV is incredibly important. But to me, I think if you're going to build a brand like the UFL, you need to put, fans in the seats. That is the most important criteria I have, as a new investor in this league. I want it to be fun. I want it to be family. I want it to be football. I want it to be good football. There are 10 games. There's 5 in each market. And again, I mean, you guys know if Birmingham Stallions would have been 2-8, it might be tough to draw, but this is a team that won 3 championships, and the city is proud, and the city should be proud. And I think the thing that most excited me about this week, and I had a lot of fun, was the engagement. One thing when I decided to invest, you have The Rock and you have Danny Garcia, Fox, Redbird, and ESPN. Is the league never really had someone who doesn't mind being approachable or doesn't mind having fun with fans and listen. I could have done the same thing a week ago, and we could have got, one Twitter reply and no news coverage and no radio coverage. And then, I would have learned something different. I would have learned, wow, I got a lot of work to do here and everywhere else. But to see the passion of the fans, listen, I love when people go after me or attack me. It's hysterical. There's a lot of funny people in Birmingham, I found out this week. But I'm from New York and I live in Florida. I'm pretty funny too. So I think that this is what the league's going to be about, the approachable, being there for the fans. We've done a bad job. As the USFL, we did a bad job as the XFL. I know that. I mean, I came to invest because I see an opportunity to make sports fun, to make football fun, to make it affordable, to make it attainable, and make it approachable. So I'm really excited about this opportunity.
Mike Riepele joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, new co-owner of the UFL, discussing the future of the Birmingham Stallions. And you mentioned that there's some history here that is applicable. And being at our Jox Kickoff party last night, a lot of the things that fans shared with me were not this Stallions, but the previous one that you brought up. The Stallions, the Cudas, the Bolts, the Iron. This has happened a lot of times in this city, and I think that's why a lot of folks are on edge now. We've been here before. We've seen this happen. Don't want it to happen again. A lot of fans would tell you there were some scheduling conflicts with this team that were tough to manage. Bad weather on 2 Friday night games, a couple of holidays, spring break that went up against games. I understand those are excuses, but the fans want to know where this franchise is right now, what the chances are of it staying or going is, even before they go out and take your challenge and purchase new season tickets.
Is that Cole or Greg?
This is Cole. Sorry, this is Cole.
I'm sorry, Cole. So Cole, listen, the bottom line was more for me to get a barometer base. I mean, we're over 2,000 tickets already today, and there's no way without this engagement. I just needed to make sure the fan base was excited. I can't get into every market day one. I mean, I know Birmingham. I sold 2 beverage companies to Coca-Cola, so I know United very well. I've been to Perry's Steakhouse. I mean, I've been in the area, been in the market. It's a great area, great market. And listen, usually, I mean, if a team wins, the fans should show up automatically. I mean, listen, having a Mother's Day game at 11 o'clock, yeah, I know that. That's kind of stupid. I would agree with that. I mean, sometimes it happens with television windows, and I get it. But, we can still show up. I'm disappointed with the league attendance in every market. So, but I'm not blaming the city, and I'm not blaming, Fox or Redbird or ESPN either. I mean, I just want to get this right. I just want to get this so. But listen, I want to make noise. This league is going to make noise. It's great football. You guys love football. Football is the one sport that, look at the ratings in football versus all other sports. The number one sport by far is the NFL. Number 2 by far is college football. After that, it's a huge drop to Major League Baseball, the NBA, hockey, MLS. I really believe that the UFL could be, it could be the number 3 sport outside of pro football, college football. And let's just take this to March 1st to, the end of June. That's what I'm really excited about is the opportunity of football. Football is king in all of America. So it's getting real exciting. And, I want to create some noise. I want to create some noise with the fans. And I want to, listen, I'm going to go to a lot of games in different cities. And unlike other owners, whatever home stadium I'm at, that's who I'm rooting for. I'm going to stay on their side of the sideline. I'm going to wear their jersey, their T-shirt. I'm going to make sure I'm with the majority of the fans. So every market, when Birmingham plays at home and I'm at a game, I'm a Birmingham fan. When they play away at St. Louis, I'm sorry, guys, I'm on the other side. I'm a St. Louis fan. I'm going to go with the majority and really want to play in smaller venues. It was very, very important to me. Protective is 44,000. I want to cover up the top bowl, play in the lower bowl, make it 24,000. Let's get 15, 20,000 fans out there. I saw pictures in the 80s where you had 20,000 fans. Let's get the fans out there. And you know what? Let them, if they have a great experience, they see great football, they have a lot of fun, they bring their kids, guess what? They're going to come back next week and the week after. So, and honestly, Cole, it doesn't matter what time the game is. If it's that exciting, they're going to find the time.
Well, I'm gonna disappoint you here, Mike, and I hate to do this, but you come to a game at Birmingham, there's going to be a large portion of these fans when you come to a game in Birmingham that are not going to want a shirt on. So
no shirts.
That might be good for you. That might be bad for you. For me, that'd be bad. But just letting you know, there's going to be a portion over in the end zone that are not going to allow you to have a shirt on.
Well, I'm okay with that. I got 6 months to get into great shape, so I can handle that. I mean, I just got to work out.
Just go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm friends with Tom Brady, and I got a brand called Noble, so I'll start doing some weight training and work out with Tom, and I'll eat better. But I'll be ready. And listen, I'm so happy to, listen. If we cause the stir this week in Birmingham, it's because the fan base cares about the team. And you know what? I'm so happy that we caused the stir. Because if they didn't care and they didn't give I can't curse here, I heard. If they didn't give a what, then you know what? I wouldn't be on this call, and it wouldn't be on local news and what do you call it. So, listen, I'll say it here. The Birmingham Stallions will be playing there next March. I'm going to be at the home opener. I need 19,999 other people to show up with me. And let's just have some fun and bring the kids, bring the friends, family, drink some beer, have fun, watch a game, and listen, I'm glad that we're going to be a big thing in Birmingham, and you know what? They're the Dallas Cowboys, Pittsburgh Steelers of spring football. I mean, Birmingham Stallions, they're a dynasty, so the fans should support them like that. So I'm all for Birmingham, and I want to have fun. I want to sell out that place.
But Mike, this is Cole again. Can I take what you just said right there? Are you saying definitively Birmingham will be playing in Alabama? The Stallions will be playing here next spring.
Cole, that's just between me and you. We're not on radio, are we right now?
No, this is. I just need this information for future reference, please, if you don't mind.
Cole, don't tell anybody, but the Birmingham Stallions will definitely be playing next year in Birmingham. But please keep that between us, all right?
It's secret safe. Listen, I live 2 miles from the stadium, from Protective, so I need more games here because I work in the league and I love doing the games, and I like having home games, just like everybody else does. So we need more.
Well, you're going to have 5 home games, And the other thing is, I read the comments. Mike, we can't have games on Sunday morning. We can't have them on Mondays at 11 a.m. I heard it. It was a great focus group for me. What a great opportunity for me to engage with fans. And I think a couple people like me in Birmingham, maybe more after this call. But
Mike, you made a good point too, though. You made a good point too. You go out there and dominate as a football team. Sometimes make some concessions. Get to the games. Get a few more people in the seats. I think Birmingham can meet you in the middle here. I think it's been a very fair conversation that you've shared with us today.
I think it's going to be great. I'm excited about Birmingham, and you know what? Let them be the iconic spring football. Let them. Skip Holtz has done an amazing job in the community. I know he shows up, but you know what? We got to show up. The one thing we're going to do is we're going to bring the players down, not just in for the game and out. I'm going to bring them either a day before, or a day after, or maybe both. Going to really be in the local community, working with people down there. I mean, listen, this has been tough. I mean, two leagues. I got to give Redbird and Fox a lot of credit. I mean, they've lost a lot of money through this. I've invested a lot of money. Listen, if you see my track record, I don't fail. I mean, I might go bankrupt, but I'm not going to fail. I'm going to make sure that this is a Birmingham Stallions are a winning city, with a winning team. The UFL's here to stay, and listen, we're going to have spring football for a long, long, long time, and I'm excited by it.
Well, we're thrilled to hear that. And honestly, I mean, look, I think it's fair to issue a challenge. But what can we do in the spring of 26 to assure that Birmingham is here long term? What can we do as a fan base, as a community, outside of just trying to get 15, 20,000? That's a big number, especially if Sunday mornings we have church here. It's going to be hard for a lot of us to make it. What can we do to make sure that for the foreseeable future, as long as the UFL is in existence, Birmingham has a team?
I think I'm positive that as long as there's a UFL, and there will be, the Birmingham Stallions will be part of it. I need the community to take that passion on the viewership and take that passion that they've done on social media and come out. And you know what? Maybe we need to make it more affordable. I think it is. But, 15, 20,000 fans, Greg, is it's not a lot. I mean, you guys have games, and so I think we're okay. I think we're okay because I know the UFL has to do more. The United Football League has to unite the fan base with the league and with everybody. And you know what? Just this week, I mean, have you ever talked about the Stallions the last week of August the way you have this year versus the 3 other years? I'm going to guess not. Is that accurate or not accurate?
That's accurate. No, not this much. Absolutely not.
So wait till January, February, and March. I mean, we're going to have fun. We're going to do some fun. This is going to be, football's got to be fun. Sports has got to be fun. Some sports have taken the fun out of sports, and it's not what this league's going to do. This league's going to be a lot of fun, and we got some, I got some new ideas and new concepts, and football is football. But you know what? Let's celebrate. Let's not worry about celebration dances that get 15-yard penalties, and oh my God, taunting's a 15-yard penalty. Let's celebrate. Let's cheer. Let's root, and let's have fun, man. It's people have it tough enough. You got to make a decision on who the mayor is going to be on Tuesday, and it's a big decision to so many people. And you know what? This is not politics. This is football. So I'm telling you, we're going to make it so much fun, Cole and Greg, that we're not going to worry about 15, 20,000. We're going to worry about 25,000. It's going to happen. And if it doesn't, you know what? I'll take as much responsibility as any other city, not just Birmingham, but any other city. It's now up to me to put a quality product out there that's fan-friendly, that people fight and want to come. Yes, church is a lot more important than a football game, except if Birmingham's home on a Sunday. But that's the only time. But it is. And we should be playing either later in the afternoon, and I'll take feedback Friday nights at 7:30, Mike, Saturday at 7:30, Saturday at 4:15. Trust me, I'm going to reach out to fans. They're going to tell me what the good times are in each market.
Well, I'll tell you, you're on the right track in a lot of areas. My biggest words of advice for the league the last 2 years have been get the players in the markets more often. It's free marketing. It's a way to get to know the teams. We had multiple Stallions players in studio with us for multiple years, and I think it made a huge difference. They were at schools. They were at TV stations, in studio. I think it helps a lot. I love the fact that you're going to push for that. I think it'll make a massive difference. And really appreciate you coming on with us today. I don't know how the fans don't respect you after hearing this. I will say this right now. Mike did not duck us yesterday. That did not happen. There was some confusion. It was last minute. We tried to put it together. I tried to explain that yesterday. but I think fans should be excited about what they've heard from you today, and we really appreciate you coming on and discussing it.
Well, Cole and Greg, thank you, and good luck on the election. But Stallion Nation is going to be as big as – I need Birmingham to set the example for every other city in this league, and you know what? It's why I decided that Birmingham needed to be the city that I needed to learn from it, and they did a great job, and I'm fired up about not only Birmingham but the UFL. And listen, if the place is empty, I'm going to blame one person, myself. So don't worry about that. So I'll take full accountability. We're gonna rock that stadium, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. And I look forward to talking to you guys more often. Okay.
We're just worried about Fierceness getting healthy this weekend. You just go make that happen, and we're going to be okay.
We got 2 big races, and tell your friends confidentially, just like I gave you the news. Bet Fierceness in the Pacific Classic, and bet Mindframe in the Jockey Gold Cup. All right.
There you go. We'll get it done. Mike, thank you so much for taking the time today. Let's catch up soon.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
There you go. Mike Repoli joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You heard him here. The Stallions will be back in Birmingham next spring. That's all I can say. That's what I'm going to take. It's what he says, what he told us. We're going to go with that. Keep it locked for more next right here on Jox.
So, listen, I'll say it here. The Birmingham Stallions will be playing there next March.
There you go. That was Mike Repoli, new co-owner of the UFL, with us just moments ago. saying the Birmingham Stallions will be here in Birmingham next March. Great news for a lot of us football fans, great news for sports fans in Birmingham, great news for the city of Birmingham. And we hope that that's actually the case and that takes place. But I came away impressed with the interview, G-Mac. I had not really heard Mike before. I've never had a conversation with him. He seems like a fun guy. It doesn't seem like there was anything extremely definitive with what he put out about the season tickets, but he wanted to gauge the market. He wanted to gauge the people, and the people fought back. And I do, like I said, I think there's a way we can meet him in the middle. We get a couple more people out there for a couple more games. He's going to work on the scheduling, the times, the events around it, and we'll see if we can keep this thing rolling.
Yeah, and I think it's important for him to recognize, hey, look, there are some things that we need to take into account as people that live here in the Bible Belt. I go to church on Sunday mornings. So if you are planning on playing a game at 11 o'clock, I can't make it. And I'm not going to make it. I'm not prioritizing the UFL or the Birmingham Stallions being here, over my day in church. They're just not going to do it. So I think it's really important that they're acknowledging that. They're going to adjust that and hopefully allow a little more flexibility with their scheduling with when the Stallions will be playing at home. And as a result, I think it's a good challenge. Like, we can all go out and support the Stallions. We can do that. And we should. So let's do our best to do that so that we can prove them right and make sure that they're here for the long term.
Absolutely. So I know Dwayne is on the Higginbotham hotline. He wants to chat UFL. Welcome into the show, Dwayne.
Hey guys, good morning. I love the call. I'm buying my tickets today. Going to get my season tickets. I appreciate what he said, and I appreciate him keeping them here. But I think two things that would really help the league, and y'all touched on some of it, the time of day, maybe a Friday or a Saturday instead of a Sunday or late in the afternoon. That's really key. I think if they had local people representing each team, they would do better than like a guy. He sounds like he's from Boston, and he's trying to read the market in Birmingham. They need a guy here that knows this market to help them and reflect on what the needs are for the Birmingham team. But my number one, all right, listen, if we had Greg McElroy at quarterback and Cole Cubelic on the offensive line, we would fill that stadium up. It wouldn't be 15 or 20. It would be packed out. They need to localize their drafting, put guys off Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, Mississippi, Florida on this team in Birmingham. And I'm telling you, we bring 100,000 to Bryant Denny, 90,000 to Jordan Hare. You don't think half those people would show up if some of those same guys were playing on this UFL team? I really do, and I think it's the key to their success. If they want to really do good, then start bringing names in and putting them on this team that I know, that you know, that everybody's heard of.
Look at when AJ came and played this year, Dwayne. When the Battlehawks came this year, it was the biggest crowd of the season by far. And I appreciate the call, and I think it's a great point. Thank you for the call. It's something that was discussed yesterday because if you remember, the first version of the XFL had a geographically based draft. You had first choice, like Birmingham had first choice of UAB, Alabama State, Auburn, Alabama, North Alabama, Alabama A&M, and in schools within the other proximities that are close by. You got to go back and alter everything with how players are acclimated at that point. So that might be difficult to do. I don't think you can look at it and say, okay, well, you get first dibs at Trent Richardson or A.J. McCarron because of where you are. Like, you get first dibs at Sammy Coates because where you are. You can do it, but you just have to redo everything as to how. And I think right now it's also tough because this is not the league's fault. It's hard for this league to fill up with good players. It is. It just is. It's not overly difficult for this league to have 11 good players on each side. But a lot of these players get hurt because they've been out of the game for a minute, or maybe they were in an NFL camp and now they're coming trying to play, or they were in a CFL camp and now they're coming to try to play. Like the guys in the UFL are probably taking more physical snaps in a year that are really trying to make it, like the Sal Canellas and those kind of guys, than anybody in any other league. So that takes a toll. So that's hard to get those guys at that caliber, not just the first 11, but the next guys in line. We don't have a story like Toatawa at Michigan, who was working at a golf course and 3 weeks later scoring a touchdown. And by the way, he's getting carries in a preseason NFL game right now. So you don't have those kind of stories if guys are easy to find. And that's a running back. Imagine what it's like to find a guard or a tackle. And I've had that conversation with folks in that league. People think you can just go get a receiver or a running back. Okay, but like when you go get an offensive lineman, I need 6'4", 300. I need 6'5", 330. Those guys aren't just walking around everywhere. So the idea is spectacular. I love it. I think it would help. But it's very difficult to guarantee because you got to get a guy where you can get a guy. And you can't tell me, well, I got this guy waiting to come play, and I got another team that gets first dibs at him, and they might just find a way to squeeze him on his roster because I don't have him. There are difficulties with that. We'll talk more about it next on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. I just went to the Stallions website to check this because I had two listeners tell me this last night. And if I'm not mistaken, the deposit's $50 and then you owe another $50 towards the end, correct, for season tickets?
I believe so, yes.
It's $100 for season tickets. And like you heard Mike say, 5 home games. So you give a couple of those away to some friends that need them or trying to help somebody out, whatever that is. You make it to a couple games. We can help here with the Birmingham Stallions. We want to try to do our part. So I'm looking at them now. I work for the league. I'm not going to be able to go to games. If I do, I'm working. So Try to get some folks in there, try to help out. It's exciting news that they're going to be back.
And if you, by chance, can't make it to a game, you could always watch it at home. And you could find your super sofa or furniture for the entire home at TD's Fine Furniture, where the Labor Day sale means markdowns up to 50% throughout the store, including markdowns throughout the Flex Deal store. That's TD's Fine Furniture in Summerton.
All right, so 800-239-9569. You want to get in on SEC scheduling. We talked about that earlier in the show. We've talked a lot of UFL today. We've got some quarterback news coming up. Greg is on Get Up right now, so he'll be back with us in a couple of moments. But we'll go to the phone lines, 800-239-9569. Get you on the Higginbotham hotline. Domer, good to see you last night. Thanks for hopping in today.
Top of the morning.
You had a little battle going last night, did you not?
Well, me and Legend, man, we've been going at it since I was a teenager.
Why are you trying to relive old days again? Trying to get mad at folks again?
I just can't. Man, look, I'll be honest with you. I have, I've tried to do some self-healing and try to become a better man, and I just can't help it, man. You put me with a diehard Alabama fan, and the Domer just comes out in me, man. There's just nothing I can do about it.
Some folks just bring it out, huh? That's just how it's going to be.
Yeah, it just get in that atmosphere. I have to be true to myself, man. Y'all just have to accept me for my faults, man. I got to just be who I am.
You always have kind things to say, and I always appreciate our conversations, but he said some of the coolest stuff. He shared some of the coolest thoughts with me last night, maybe of anybody, just how he was like, man, the show wasn't going to work when it started. He's like, I told Haney, bad combo, not going to work. He's like, listen once on the way to work, listen a couple months later, and he's like, I got to have you on the morning now. So it was really cool to hear him say that.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Me and Legend, he's a diehard fanatic Alabama fan, SEC guy, and I'm the Notre Dame guy. But I have a lot of mutual respect for Legend and appreciate his story, appreciate his honesty. And me and him have a lot in common, to be honest with you. We're just passionate about the sport. We're passionate about interacting. You can see it last night. That's what we like to do. People all the time tell me, why do you call in? It's not like you're making a bunch of money off this, nothing, or no money. I said it's just about camaraderie. It's about having fun, about making the sport fun. College football, that's what makes it actually fun, is what we did last night, getting to talk together, giving each other a hard time. And I've always said that the SEC on the football field is not special. And I've said that. Now, y'all are good, but you're not what y'all think y'all are. But where you are special is with your fan base, the people of this area. There is no doubt about it. What makes the SEC special, and what will always – there are no other fans. There is no other passion. There's no other region of the country that has people, good people that love this sport like the South. And that's truly what makes the SEC special. That's what makes, me love the SEC. Even though I love to give y'all a hard time, I wouldn't want to live anywhere else but in the SEC, because y'all match my passion and what I love about the sport. And people don't realize this too, man. Like you said with Legend, having the show like y'all got now, and this is Jox. There's a lot of shows that's come through this area. There's podcasts are real popular now. There is no other show, I don't think, in the country that connects to its fan base like Jox and this station. This station, I've been calling this show for 20 years. And this station and the people, you have a connection. Greg has a connection. Haney has a connection. Y'all know y'all's people. And I'm telling you, it's not like that anymore. These podcasts don't talk to people. They're not connected. They don't know like what y'all are talking about with UFL. Y'all understand us. Y'all know what we love. You know what we like. Y'all are us. Y'all live here. And people just need to realize how special what we have here is. Because I promise you this, I may love Notre Dame, and I may say things about South. There is nothing like Jox in South Bend, Indiana. I was scrolling the radio just looking for anything. There's nothing like this connection that we have here. And I appreciate all the fans last night. Pelham Gator is OG. He's legit been a part of Birmingham radio for 30, 40 years. And I just, love seeing him, love talking to him. Legend is there, and I got to talk to Jamie and all you guys. I mean, that's who I love. I love, honestly, talking to the caller sometimes more than the host. I mean, just the connection that we have. But, like I said, everything that we call and we give each other a hard time and all that good stuff. We're all just so fortunate that we have what we have. And I think there's going to be a documentary on this station one day, because this station, we're part of it. We don't really realize it sometimes, but this station has connected a lot of people, and it has brought a lot of joy and camaraderie to a lot of people in Birmingham. And Birmingham is the best sports market in the entire country. And I just want to tell y'all, I appreciate y'all, and I want the listeners to just take a deep breath sometimes and just think how fortunate we are to have what we have. Now, that being said, I'll be calling and talking some trash next time you hear me.
I did want to ask you this. I don't know if you heard Greg and I talking SEC scheduling. It was the first segment of the show today. I know you usually get in a little bit after that. I'm actually really intrigued, Domer, because he was talking the ACC deciding, basically coming out and saying they don't need to move right now. They're going to stay at 8. And he said, well, with Notre Dame, that they can get a couple of those. And I said, I'm most interested in what this does to Notre Dame. Because
I think this is huge for Notre Dame.
Yeah, because Greg was saying, the ACC can't, they got to go get teams from other leagues. I'm like, well, you're telling on yourself if you do that. You got to play yourself more.
I think you made a fair point.
And then
I think
it's good. I think Notre Dame looks at this and says, we better start playing some SEC and Big Ten teams.
Well, that's the thing. Notre Dame's been doing that. I mean, Notre Dame's kind of ahead of the curve on this. And we're playing 2 SEC teams this year. We're playing Texas A&M and Arkansas. We've had home and homes with Georgia. We have built a tradition of playing Alabama, and we played Tennessee. And so I'll be honest with you. Let me tell you what I'd love to see. I would love to see Alabama put his big boy pants on. Stop dipping. Don't hide no more. And say, you know what? We're going to sign a 15-year home and home series with Notre Dame. We're bringing back the North versus the South. That rivalry shaped college football. Bear Bryant, Parsegan, Devine. It was literally the South versus the North. That game shaped college football. And I would love nothing more than a long-term contract between Alabama and Notre Dame. Notre Dame will be in Bryant-Denny. There's so much tradition there. There's so much here with mutual respect. You got the connection with Frank Thomas coaching Bear Bryant. Bear Bryant going back and using the Notre Dame box. I mean, there's so much tradition there. Let's bring back what you could say is legit one of the greatest rivalries in the history of college football. Let's bring it back. Alabama, I know some people are listening that's got some connections. Bring back the tradition of Notre Dame versus Alabama. We want Bama.
Okay. I think Alabama fans would be fine with it. I mean, I think Alabama fans would love it. Appreciate the call, Domer. Great to see you last night. Had some fun conversations with you as well. Appreciate everybody who came out to the Jox kickoff party last night. If you haven't made it before, try to make it a point to get there next year. Get started early. Try to get your tickets because it was awesome. And the rain tried to keep it down, tried to hold it back. I think it made it better. Kind of brought us close together. Had some really fun conversations, and it was really cool. But if you're an Alabama fan right there, you do have to imagine that'd be what, a 10-year stretch? Let's just say 8-year stretch. Auburn, LSU, Tennessee, Notre Dame definitively on your schedule. And then however else it falls, because you're getting some Oklahomas, you're getting some Floridas, you get some South Carolina, some Ole Miss, some A&M.
Texas every other year, Georgia every other year. Okay.
Will a 14 team be in the college football playoff next on Get Up? Just kidding. No, we'll be back next on Jox. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 8:46, Friday, August 22nd. A little behind, so I want to go ahead and get to Gerard Hamilton quickly because this Missouri quarterback situation seems like it's going to be intriguing. Gerard, we talked to you after a scrimmage a couple weeks ago. Now, Eli Drinkwitz saying he's going to play both in the first game. He did this with Brady Cook 2 years ago, so it's not necessarily out of the ordinary, and we all just assumed Brady was the guy then. He ended up being the guy. What should we be reading into this for this Missouri football team?
I guess the difference, a couple years ago was even though they were doing they let Sam play, they let Brady play, it still felt like it was still really Brady's to lose. Like he'd have to sling it up really. And of course he did. I mean, they had the season they did. This competition, like I said, a couple weeks ago, like Drinker said, this whole off season is a lot closer than some people think. And so, yeah, we always thought this could possibly, be something that happens. But the fact that it is, I mean, I guess it just tells how close it is and how he's been saying the last couple of times we've seen him, like it's really hard to decipher, who's got the edge. And he's also been talking about how it's going to be tough to tell whoever doesn't, win the job if they're not doing it because he just thinks that highly of them. So we'll see. I'm interested to see kind of, who starts the drive breakdown as far as who plays or whatever, because it's Central Arkansas, all due respect to them. So you would think by halftime maybe this game is out of hand. And so whoever gets the second half snaps, I mean, reps are reps, but, you kind of want to see them as early as you can,
How do you think this competition was expected to go? What do you think when they added Pribula? What do you think was the expectation level of the program as they started to evaluate?
I think this, for us down here in Columbia, they've been high on Sam since they got him. And so they've always wanted to see, when he finally gets a chance, what he can do. So, of course, Bo coming in, everybody automatically thinks, including myself, like, that's the guy. But Drink kind of made that known so early, during spring ball, like, we're just not going to give it to Bo. Whoever is going to give us the best chance to win this year, that's what we're going to do. And so it's not all that surprising. I thought, like I said, Bo would, win this competition, and there was times where I probably thought, okay, it's maybe like 70-30 Bo, 65-35 Bo. I'm still leaning that Bo will end up being the starter. But the fact that it's this close that he's like, all right, well, let's put it in a game situation, it's a bit interesting. But I think for Drink and the team, they think it's kind of a good thing because at worst, they're probably going to have one of the best backups, if not the best backup of the league, in their eyes. So they don't see this as like, oh, it's so bad, someone's not running away with the competition. They see it as, this is pretty close. Neither one has kind of taken the reins completely because something Drink has said for every quarterback battle, since I've been here the last, 3 going on 4 seasons is he's not picking the quarterback. The quarterback will reveal himself. So whoever's, being the most consistent and the best decision maker and not turning the ball over and all that type of stuff during practices and stuff like that, he's not going to pick it. They're going to reveal themselves. So I think this is kind of how they, in one sense, wanted it to go.
Was talking with Gerard Hamilton, covers the Missouri Tigers on the Higginbotham Hotline. Can you just give us a quick synopsis of what you've heard about each, Sam Horn and Pribula, just kind of how practice has gone, maybe where some have shined, others have struggled, just what has been the back and forth based on the information that you have?
They're both doing well. I think the biggest thing we know is just consistency. Haven't really been turning the ball over, as much in the last 2 scrimmages they had. I don't think they've had any turnovers, which is obviously going to be big for any program, any team. So they're doing well. I mean, I remember from the scrimmage a couple weeks ago, what I seen with my own eyes is just Bo being able to, make throws on the run, stuff like that. Sam, he was good at improvising at times, making plays or just making something happen long enough to get his receivers another chance to run another route. And so Sam obviously has got the rocket arm. We know that he can throw 98 miles per hour on the mound. With Bo, I know this is it's real short and consistent as far as like his passes, like throwing the ball closer to the line of scrimmage, but being very accurate, knowing where he wants to go, kind of always knowing where his slot guys are, which are going to be his safety blankets this year. Those are things that I noticed and stuff like that, but we don't get too much in practice. But from what I noticed and a couple things I've heard, I mean, I think both guys are doing well, and I think they both can run the offense. It's just slightly different in how they do it.
How would you assess the strength of the offense, knowing the offensive line's a question mark a little bit, according to Drink and others? I think the running back position's a strength. I think tight end's a strength. They have a lot of strengths, but what we've kind of come to know Missouri to be was a team that could run the football to the perimeter and create some problems that way. But if the offensive line's not as good as it was the last couple of years, will they still be able to do that? So how do we anticipate this offense looking, regardless of who the quarterback is, going into the season?
I think he meant offensive line looking is what he was asking right there. That's really what he wants to know, more information.
Well, considering the offensive line is the bread and butter and the backbone of their operation, I'm just curious if that group's not what it's been the last couple of years. Does that alter who this team becomes?
To a degree. I mean, they've got so many shifting parts, and they've had so many shifting parts in just the last week and a half or two alone. You know, Caden Green continues to get all these preseason honors, and a lot of that's coming at guard. Well, he's going to be playing left tackle. He's only played left tackle in his first collegiate game as a Oklahoma Sooner. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does there. He played spring or 2024 spring ball. He was at left tackle, and then they brought in Marcus Bryant from SMU to do that. And so they said they're, confident in him. Caden seems a little bit confident, but it's going to be interesting just that, like, a week before camp's over, they move him to left tackle. John Jadis, who they had at right guard all fall camp, he's at left guard. You still got Connor Tolleson at center, recovering from the torn ACL. That's going to be something to watch. I mean, he says he's healthy, ready to go, but always just got to see how that goes. They got Keegan Trost at right tackle. They named him the starter in spring, so they're comfortable with him. But Curtis Pegler's the new guy on the lineup. He just got named the starting right guard a few days ago, and he's got 34 career snaps, all of them on special teams. But so, I mean, it's a lot of moving parts, a lot different from years past, and we'll see. They like Curtis Pegler. He's the second biggest player on the team, 6'4", 338. He said he's got good hands. Obviously, he's very strong. But, yeah, they're going to have to run the ball. And as far as what they do and how this offense looks, it's going to be new for everybody because we don't get to really see too much of how this line is looked as currently presented. But, of course, it's going to kind of lean on Caden Green and how he holds up at left tackle and if they have to make any more changes along the line. So they're going to have to lean on the run game, I'm guessing the short pass game for the first few weeks or so just to get comfortable, get the quarterbacks comfortable, get the offensive line comfortable, and then have the run game to kind of establish something while they figure everything out.
What else have you heard maybe that has surprised you a little bit, positive, negative, as it's game week for Missouri right now? I mean, they got to be in game week mode because they're going Thursday night next week. Things that maybe you feel like, okay, Missouri fans should be excited about this. This is why this is a team that can challenge for 9-10 wins again this year.
Defense is looking pretty crazy. Every time we talk to Drink, especially about that edge group, he's like blushing. He's been doing this for months, since like March. Every time you talk about him, because he feels like he has like 6 guys at edge who we think is going to be in his rotation regularly. I like all the additions they made at all 3 levels. They have someone, Marquise Gracial, a former 4-star who's a defensive tackle. They've been kind of waiting on him for a few years, and Drink said it at the, in spring ball, kind of like playing, like it's your time to step up. And he stepped up. He's playing with the ones, and he's a big body, 6'4", 322. Putting him next to Chris McClellan to kind of clog up the middle with that edge group, that looks good. The linebackers, another strong group. If you wanted to say, like, if you was to argue which group was better, and you said linebackers over edge, the linebackers have a good argument. They got 4-5 linebackers they like. Safety group, depth is much improved. So top to bottom, that defense looks really scary and can be possibly a top 10 to 12 defense.
I'm bullish on that defense, Gerard. I know a lot of people are not. I am. I think that D-line, I think with what you have, Burks coming back at safety, and the attacking mode in which they operate and have operated even before the current regime was there with Blake Baker. I feel pretty good about it. Thanks for the time today, man. Great updates. We appreciate it always.
Appreciate you guys.
Gerard Hamilton, powermizzou.com, at Gerard C. Hamilton on Twitter. You can follow him there. When we come back, 9 o'clock hour, college football kicks off tomorrow. The Stallions are staying in Birmingham. The SEC is going to 9 games, and I've got starting quarterbacks around CFB. All next on Jox.
Welcome back, McElroy Cubelic in the morning, Jox 94.5, 9 o'clock here in Birmingham, Alabama. Look forward to visiting with Stanford Steve here in just a moment. Always appreciate our visits with him as we get you dialed in for week 0 of the college football season. We got games tomorrow, and a few that are interesting, I might add. It's not just Farmageddon, Kansas State, Iowa State. You also have an intriguing game between Kansas and Fresno State. Fresno State's been the adopted sons of Mac and Cube for quite a while. You also have a couple other intriguing games that I'm not saying are going to have playoff implications or things like that, but I could see in a roundabout way. I wouldn't be shocked if Kansas is in the mix towards season's end, especially with the topsy-turvy nature of the Big 12 as a whole, and they have a super dynamic quarterback. So if they are healthy at quarterback, I think they have a chance. So it should be very interesting to see how that all unfolds. We look forward to breaking it down with Stanford Steve here in just a moment. So let's bring him in. He's Stanford Steve of SVP fame, of the Stanford Steve. If you're on the podcast now, we see you all the time on SportsCenter. We see you on College Game Day. We see you all over the place, my friend. How are we this offseason?
I'm doing great, and I'm doing some rankings, polls, whatever. I just want to say both of you guys are number 1 seeds in ball knowers. You guys are the best.
Oh, wow.
I miss talking to you.
Thank
And
you.
Numero uno.
good to be out with some A1 ball knowers.
Actually, so let's throw this one out just quickly because this is a random one. We just talked to Gerard Hamilton. I think a lot of folks are on different sides with Missouri going into this year. I think they have, and you and I have talked about it, there's 8 to 11 teams in the league that could be 9-win or 6 wins. Where are you, Missouri, more on the end of can exceed expectations or maybe take a step backwards this year?
I look at backwards. Everybody's going to point to their schedule, obviously, and how other teams would want their schedule. I think we said the same thing about them last year, but I put them kind of like in the Ole Miss range. What the upside could be when you talk about getting good quarterback play. Drink's always doing a great job with quarterbacks. So when you look at in its totality, you get road games at Auburn and Vanderbilt and Oklahoma and Arkansas. How many of those are going to win? And that was their problem. I mean, they got destroyed when they went to. I think they were still undefeated when they went to A&M last year, and that kind of gave you a real sense of what they were. But they overcame that. So I look at the ceiling as being 8 wins in there, and I think like you guys have discussed and stuff. I know I saw you guys at SEC Media Days, doing the tiers of who's in where. So that 8-4 tier is where I have Missouri.
Looking at some of these other over-unders, a few that have been hotly debated. Texas is probably the most hotly debated this year. I love them. I think they have a real chance to go and win the national championship, but I do not feel confident taking the over on 10-2 or taking the over on 10.5.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're probably on the same page, but what are some other big numbers that you're avoiding at this point?
I think LSU's one that sticks out, Greg. I've told everybody I love LSU this year. I just don't like them week 1 because I like what Clemson brings to the table. I put Clemson 1 when I did a poll, but like the LSU, like you saw how fast it went up and down last year, where they come back and beat Ole Miss, and then you have that 3-game losing streak. And to me, Cole, you and I have talked about it plenty. You got to run the ball. I'm at the South Carolina game, and they figure things out on the run, and they get that win. But like going back, I looked at some stuff like the difference between Denbrock and Sloan, and Sloan ranks in rush offense as a play caller. He's done it 3 years. He's never finished inside the top 100. In 2020, he was 119th, and 21 is 105th, and last year he was 107th. So I just think how stubborn are they going to be about running the football, knowing that better things happen? People don't have their ears pinned to come after Nuss. We know he likes to take chances throwing the football, and we saw the bad side of that in that 3-game losing streak, where it caught up to him. So LSU has the most wiggle room, I feel like, when you're talking about a win total. It's at 8.5. I still believe they have the goods to win 9 games. So I lean over, but I could see where the portal doesn't work out. There's not a lot of a team camaraderie, and they lose more. But I still trust Brian Kelly a ton. It's not the end of the world. It's going to feel like the end of the world if they lose week 1, knowing the lack of success they've had in week 1s. But you still have plenty to play for if things don't go your way week 1, which is great about the new format.
Greg and I would both be with you. Stanford Steve joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline with Clemson at 1. We have both been beyond surprised at where we've seen them land in a couple of other polls in a couple of other different places, a couple of other different rankings. Was it a difficult choice for you? Who would have been close? Who'd you debate it with? I think most people anticipate you'll go Penn State here. Was it a 3-team race, 4-team race? Was it just clear as day for you that Clemson's the best team in the nation heading into this season?
It was them in Penn State. I know everyone's going to point to Penn State and the head coach guys, but like when I go back and watch, I mean, Greg, you called that game. Like I'm watching it with Coach Saban, the Orange Bowl, and James Franklin didn't throw the ball across the field in the middle of a gotta have it 2-minute drill. Like at some point, if these guys are going to be getting millions of dollars, they got to be more accountable. That's on the quarterback. That's on Drew Aller. You can't make that throw in that point of the game, and you have the lead in the first half, and it goes by the wayside, and you're at home watching the national championship. And the other thing with Penn State, like I don't know how to read Aller. Like I look at the weirdness about not going to the Manning Passing Academy and how that played out, and it's been multiple years. And then I look at what he did in crunch time last year, but then I look at the rest of the roster and the addition of Knowles on defense. Like give me all that. Like their schedule's not tough. They should be in the national championship game this year. There's no excuses. Like they follow the Michigan-Ohio State model of bringing their guys back and adding pieces where they need them at wide receiver. So I think the world of them. It's not going to be because of James Franklin if they don't win. It's going to be because players didn't execute. I love both coordinators. So yeah, it was Clemson and Penn State for me to decide between the top two.
What about Ohio State? I'm getting crushed for having them 8. I feel like that's super fair.
How do you know you're getting crushed? You don't look at social media. What are you like looking at AL.com or something? Like what?
No,
where are you getting crushed?
Get Up. I was just on Get Up, and Greeny was like asking me about it, and I can sense like when people ask me about a specific team and why I have them ranked where they're at, it indicates to me that people clearly have a problem with where I have that team ranked. I think Ohio State has a lot to prove. Can they be one of the best teams in the country? Absolutely. But there are a lot of unknowns surrounding that roster, especially at quarterback, and they require a lot of their quarterback. So what do we make of Ohio State at this point, and how would you kind of have them stacking up against the top teams?
Yeah, I am at 7. And you touched on it, Greg, with the quarterback. It sounds like, Keno's made it really, really hard on Sayin. And then, I think obviously go back and look at the numbers for the quarterbacks. Ryan Day does an exceptional job. But yeah, I mean the things to like Hartline's never called plays. Like that's a big deal for me. When you're playing a team like Texas week 1, like what's that going to look like? Yeah, all right, yeah, throw the ball to 4. We get it. But there's going to be different game plans that they see as you have the best player in the sport. And then on defense, I love Styles and Downs, obviously. But the up front, that's a lot of snaps they lost. And I look at Texas in the same boat. I have them ranked right at like the amount of snaps they lost from guys up front, and you go back and look at it, that's not a plug and play deal. Yeah, they're both set up to be great teams, and those teams don't rebuild. It's more of a reload, but you still got to plant pieces in, and guys got to get reps next to each other playing up front. So yeah, there's plenty of questions for me in the Texas and Ohio State. I feel like when you look at the week 1 games, I feel like I know a lot more about LSU and Clemson than I do Ohio State and Texas, and that's why I have Texas and Ohio State ranked 6 and 7.
Yeah, I think it's totally fair when you start asking those questions. Who's the team that you have consistently seen lower, maybe lacking respect, lacking people who have real energy behind them going into this year that you kind of say, I like these guys. I don't know what people are missing with this team heading into this season.
I'll give you one off the Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech, like
almost no conversation that outside of our show that I hear people like real. And I'm serious, like real buzz about when you look at what they have, Steve. It's like no buzz whatsoever.
Yeah, and I think the coaching staff probably kind of likes that. They could use it as motivation talking to their team, right? Like, hey, nobody's talking about. But like, seriously, the ultimate. I mean, it's going to be a fiasco. You go out to Boulder, right? You got to win that game. But like, you get Clemson at home. You go to Duke, who should be good. They're a team I still need to see more of. But like, being out there last year. And, we know what Florida State turned into, but, like, I just love how Georgia Tech came out. I think they're a handful to prep for with what they do pre-snap. Haynes is good as long as he's upright. They do a great job in the run game. I think they're darn sound. I like the talent at the skill position. Their running back's a stud. And you get a bunch of guys coming back on defense, and the group was fine. But you saw the upside last year when they pull off the upsets. Now you just got to work on consistency, and I think that's a lot easier. You know what your good is in beating teams, like Miami last year and going toe-to-toe with Georgia. So that's a team I thought I have them ranked. I was hoping they were going to get more love, but I think that you have everything you want in that team, and you bookend it with a Clemson and Georgia to get a litmus test of how good you are on your schedule. But that's a team no one has talked about that I think is going to have a really good season.
My only thing is they're just a little trendy, and that's
really
my only.
Like who's talking about them?
People that know. All right, so I don't know. I feel like amongst
Luganville's on them.
I mean, Pate's on them. We're on them. Lugs is on them. I mean, I feel like, and I think a lot of people are basing their assumption of growth on the game against Georgia last year. I think if you look at their game against Georgia, it's like, oh, man, they're legit. And then you kind of dive in. It's like, well, the inconsistencies that they've had for years are still very much a part of last year's team. And hopefully, part of that has to do with Haynes King's health and a few other things. But yeah. I'm optimistic. But I also at the same time feel like, man, they're a better team when no one's talking about them. I do think people are, in fact, making note of just how good they might be. Answer me this in the Big 12. If I were to tell you right now, Arizona State or the field, how quickly are you running to the window to bet the field?
I'm jogging. I'm jogging.
Oh, God. Well, for you, a jog is like a sprint for most because of just how athletic you are. As a blocking tight end that resembled Robbie Oots.
Wish.
Whoa.
I wish.
It's not a bad comp, by the way. I'd take that comp.
I couldn't hold Robbie Oots' jock in the blocking game. I'll just say that. That man could get after it. No, the issue, Greg, is I think Texas Tech's the biggest wild card in the country, right? And when you look at what's violating the portal in every way possible, I think the biggest question for me is their quarterback's health. Like I really like the quarterback, but that shoulder, man, that's a tough deal. And if you lose him, you added all these pieces, but you don't have the keys. Baylor is super scary. And Utah is a team I can't get off them. I've been on them every year, but I'll be back on Utah. So I thought Dillingham was really good in the stuff that I've watched about how it's not about recruiting anymore. It's about retaining. What he did with Sam Leavitt, I thought was absolutely, just going back and watching games. I didn't appreciate Leavitt for how good he was in knowing the situation that he was in. I think it's criminal that they took away the preseason rankings. Like you want people to talk about your league, and then they use the Arizona State deal that as to why they're not. I'm like, they went from unranked to a top 12 team in 3 weeks. Like, what's wrong with that? They made the playoff. So, no, it's super fascinating. It's as fun a conference as there is. I think that's why guys like us love it, because the games week in and week out and in the different home fields, especially now, like teams playing in Orlando, Cincinnati, and Lubbock. Like you don't get that diversity in other conferences, which makes it fun as hell. But yeah, I'm real interested to see Dillingham with all the expectation. How does he handle that? That's the thing as a young head coach that I'm super interested in seeing how he handles his team, because they bring back plenty of stuff, and Leavitt's at the top of it and should be the best quarterback in the league.
Are you with us that – well, I'm not going to speak for Greg because I think he's on board with me here because we've kind of had this conversation, but not deliberately. I just think this is going to be upsets, close games, late games, tight, single plays are massive late that decide games, just kind of a bananas season in college football because of that lack of clarity we have at the top. We take Penn State, we take Clemson, we take Ohio State, as we've all talked about. There are plenty of problems and issues, feels like more than ever, to discuss with those. Are you Greg asked me the question the other day, how many 3-loss teams getting in?
Yeah.
And when you start thinking about it, you're like, whoa, I can see it. I can see multiple. Are you on board with that kind of a season this year?
No doubt. I mean, you just look. I mean, I think you asked the question like, who can win a national championship? That seems like it's more than it has been, which is great. Everybody wants a shot, and that's the thing with the new playoff is, with the old BCS, it was all right. Who's getting the top 2, and then with the 4 team, all right, who's 5th and 6th there? Now, just go back to last year. How many teams at the end? You didn't know what was going to happen in the Big 12, but like instead of 4 and 5, you're looking at to get the last spot. It's teams from 12 to 18 that had a shot, and it just makes it better for the whole season. And I love the 12 team. They made the fixes. Can we just let it bake now? Like I think we're set up for a great season, including a playoff that's been tweaked a little bit and will work out great. All the change is what scares me, and like people just got to find some more hobbies or something. It just feels like people are getting bored and just want to change stuff. Like let's let it bake. Like the season's here, let's enjoy it.
No. Stop. That's way too level-headed. We need more chaos and more disruption. Steve, get you out of here with this. Looking at the national championship picture this year, if you were to place a wager on a league to go and win it, which league are you going with?
I'm taking the SEC.
There you go. All right. Stand for Steve going SEC.
I got one for you guys on the way out.
Let's get it.
Who wins more games, A&M or Oklahoma?
Ooh,
A&M schedule. I think Oklahoma could be really good, lose 3 or 4. Yeah. Schedule's filthy. And I do think with everything that we love about Oklahoma, right, let's take it. John Mateer brings his OC from Washington State. Could it be there? It's still got a gel fit work. It doesn't always work. How many times have we seen it? Oh, these guys were great over here, and it just doesn't work. O-line healthy. Deion Burke's healthy. Rest of receivers, running backs healthy. I love the D-line. I've said it. It's the best D-line in the SEC. You still lose Billy Bowman and Danny Stutzman, 2 of the best players, leaders we've seen the last couple of years on that side of the football. So there's still plenty of question marks, just like every other team we're going to talk about, Steve. So, and there's question marks with A&M. I'm not sold on their quarterback situation, but I bet they're going to be able to run the football.
Yeah.
Think about everything we love about Oklahoma right now for all those reasons. Who's going to be better at running the football this year, A&M or Oklahoma?
A&M.
Okay. So,
well, if you factor in quarterback run, scramble.
Okay, factor it in.
Count that.
Factor it in. I think Marcel Reed can pick up a couple yards with his legs if he needs to.
I agree. He's
he
not
ain't going between the tackles very much, but no, he's not Mateer. He's not. But
he's not Mateer running the ball.
They'll be able to add it. Hell, they probably should have added in a couple games last year when they were in comfortable spots and lost.
Here we go.
I just asked that question because Oklahoma, Michigan, week 2, I have no idea what that's going to look like. No idea. Michigan, I'm still waiting for their training camp to come on Big Ten. Now, I'm trying to put names to faces and numbers. I have no idea what Michigan's going to have.
Yeah, it's their last stop, right? I was watching Michigan State last night. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. It's going to be a fun year, man. We're glad you're back on board to be with us on Fridays, and I think it's going to be great. How are you pumped about first week 1 or 0, where you guys are heading doing?
Yeah, I'm fired up. The first show is going to be unlike we've ever done. It being Coach Corso's last show, but I don't know how much time you guys have spent in Chapel Hill. We're going there for the Monday night game. It's sold out. It's the biggest game they've had there since '97. Speaking of teams, I have no idea what they're going to look like because they don't wear numbers in practice. But I can't wait to be at Chapel Hill to see that scene. And see what it's like. That campus is as good as it gets.
Almost said the exact same thing you just did, Steve. Speaking of no idea, I couldn't give you no clue when we're going to get there. No idea.
That campus is as good as it gets on a game day. Are you kidding? What are we doing here? I love you. I love you.
I'm talking about beauty of campuses, Greg.
Oh, stop
With the sold-out crowd. They never had a sold-out crowd since '97.
Then how do you know how it looks?
I was there.
97, was that Dre Bly?
Yes, it was.
Brandon Spoon at linebacker?
Oh.
God, my football knowledge is elite.
Bonnie Holiday.
What were you doing? Tailgating? What were you doing there?
We played there.
Tailgating.
Wait, Stanford sold it out?
Yeah. They were top 5
Oh, my.
team.
I've heard it all.
They were coming to see us. They were top 5.
There you go.
All right.
No, Greg doesn't know, but they had some dudes, man. I'm telling you, Dre Bly had 14 picks one year. Brandon Spoon was like a top 5 linebacker coming out of high school. And before I think he tore his bicep like twice, and he wasn't quite as effective.
Yep.
They had dudes, man. They really did.
Jeff Saturday.
He's okay.
Pretty good.
Not a bad guy. So, Steve, we always appreciate it, man. Have a great weekend. We'll catch up next week.
All right, boys. Have a great weekend.
Stanford Steve joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, G-Mac.
Love Stanford Steve. Always appreciate him. He also will be joining us hopefully almost every week. We're hoping to have him. Obviously, travel schedules make things challenging from time to time. He's great, and we always appreciate him. We also appreciate our friends at Atlas Senior Living. Atlas Senior Living does an amazing job. They will always make sure they go above and beyond to make sure that your loved ones are taken care of. They have locations throughout the Southeast, including one here in Birmingham, down there near Greystone. It's a terrific, terrific place. They have so much that they can offer your loved ones in the event in which they want to go spend some time at Atlas Senior Living. So go check them out, atlasseniorliving.com. Also, they will have a Pick'em contest coming out here very soon. So stay up to date with us on that. You can get Amazon gift cards. You can get some money. All you got to do is pick some winners against the spread. So check it out, atlasseniorliving.com.
All right, when we come back, quarterback news around college football, and we hear from Kalen DeBoer right after this on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, hour number 3, 9:25. Been a fun show so far. Discussed the SEC going to a 9-game conference schedule. Mike Riepele joined us to discuss the Birmingham Stallions coming back next spring. No more to worry about there. That is done. And we've been delivered Hero Donuts, which is never great. But we will try to stay away.
Did you get a donut burger?
Did not get the burger, but got multiple flavors of donuts that I'm going to try to stay away from. John did not. Don't blame you.
They were a gift.
The worst part about it is, there are not many things. Baked goods, specifically donuts, when you open that box, the odor just hits different.
The waft? Yeah.
There's a lot of things that smell good, that smell delightful, but like you hit freshly made donuts when you open that box, that's hard to turn down, man. That is just and that's why you need Game Day Men's Health on speed dial. Or better yet, just know the website, GameDayMen'sHealth.com. If you need to get the weight off, they can help you. Multiple weight loss programs for you, peptides in stock that they can get you on board with. Your body stops making those over time, so they want to get them back going. You go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now, schedule the free consultation. You go in, you're going to get a free PSA test, free testosterone test. You're going to get the height, weight. You're going to get the blood pressure, let you know where you are and what they can do to help you. Mention MAXXX Cubelic, save 10% on any service that they offer at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. All right, some college football news, G-Mac. We love going with the quarterbacks across college football. First off, Auburn gets 5-star safety Braylon Womack committed. So the recruiting continues to trend back in a little bit of a positive direction for the Auburn Tigers, G-Mac. So some of the folks off the Fire Hugh Freeze train due to recruiting results yet, or is that still going, you think?
No, probably still going.
Got it, yeah. It's not working.
People are going to, no matter what, subscribe to the idea that you better be recruiting in June or else you can't recruit. But I'm of the belief that now more than ever, late recruiting is probably better, just because when you get them to the finish line, coming up with an extra couple $1,000 to tempt a guy to consider you is of the utmost importance. But still, good move there to have them at least at this point.
All right, UTEP has announced their starting quarterback. This is no surprise at all. Malachi Nelson, USC Boise transfer. He'll open up against Utah State. Week 3, keep in mind, they're at Texas. And, Greg, this is a big-time talent at quarterback. This is an offense that has been successful recently and a guy that can – he's got a load of ability. How it all works out, we don't know. But that's not one that I think a lot of people were questioning out there at UTEP.
No, and he was a guy a couple years ago you thought was going to be the starter at SC and potentially replace Caleb Williams when he graduated. It's never materialized, goes to Boise, gets beat out by Maddox Madsen, and it just never happened for him. So be curious to see where it goes from here, but the question has not been about talent, at least coming out of recruiting, because if you're a 5-star, you're always a 5-star, as you know. But we'll see if he is going to be able to live up to the recruiting billing that he had coming out of high school.
No doubt. UCF had one of the more interesting quarterback competitions that nobody was talking about. Indiana transfer Taven Jackson will not get the job. Miami transfer Ja'Cory Brown will not get the job. Cam Fancher will. 26 starts at FAU and Marshall. He'll be the quarterback for the Knights this year, so that one is now settled. Kent State has named redshirt senior KJ Montez their starting quarterback. You seen the tape on KJ, Greg?
No.
Yeah.
I know Steven Montez from Colorado a few years ago. Same guy?
Not
just new name?
Different guy. Did not change the name. But is going to be – he was a starter at Fordham the last couple of years. How about these numbers? This is based on the Fordham website, okay? These are the stats that I have. He'll open up against Merrimack, by the way. I don't think that's Merrimack Hall, but I do think that it is Merrimack. 3,333 yards last year, 27 touchdowns, 1 interception. The year before, 3,010 yards, 26 touchdowns, 1 interception. God protects the football.
Guy knows how to distribute.
Give him credit for that.
Game manager.
Give him credit for that. Might be a massive step. If you're looking for the biggest turnaround in college football this year, only because they were so bad, Kent State might be your guy. That might be your team. That might be your team.
What?
I haven't seen the tape on. I haven't seen the tape on Fordham. I don't know how the kid plays.
It sounds to me like you're buying what they're selling.
Walter Payton Award finalist. led the Patriot League in passing yards and touchdown passes. Well, just saying. We'll
Over
see.
under 1.5 interceptions for him this year.
Over. I thought you were going to say
Wow.
wins, by the way, and I was also going to take the over, but not by much.
Wow.
Not by much.
Let's ride.
Not by much.
Let's
So
ride.
that's your quarterback news across college football. There was an interesting article out yesterday about Austin Simmons at Ole Miss, GMAC, and it says that he kind of has that. He was quoted some coaches on staff that he kind of has that Tua thing. There's good news and bad news here. I'm hearing great things about him in camp, as I believe that you are. I'm not hearing great things about the Ole Miss offensive line. And that is one that I think I don't know how much we're going to find out against Georgia State week 1, but that continues to be more than just a real concern for this Ole Miss football team heading into the season.
And what should be concerning is that it was a concern last year.
When people said it was good.
And, well, yes.
That's what we were told. We were told you and I were wrong, and that they Jackson Dart needed to get rid of the ball, and that what were we talking about? The offensive line was good. Look how many yards. Look at yards.
Were times when he
Look
there
how
were
yards.
times when he could have there were times when he probably could have helped him out by getting rid of it a little sooner. I will acknowledge that. The quarterback can shoulder some of the blame there, but the offensive line, never at any point last year were you excited about them being able to hold up or get the necessary yardage on a third short without them having a 330-pound fullback carrying the ball. So I think that the offensive line remains a position of concern, but the good news is if you're looking at it from Ole Miss's standpoint, they've never been good there. That's never been a great group. So if they're having trouble, maybe if anything else, maybe they've adequately replaced their defensive line personnel that we were so concerned about coming into the season.
Is there something they can do from an RPO perspective? Honestly, I don't know how much they add, but see, I've heard some conversation. I mean, I'm not afraid to say it. Like the same podcast that you appeared on with me, Jordan Rogers came on, and he's like, I think they get back to more of the RPO quick game stuff. And like, I didn't feel like they got that far away from that. Are there portions of that you feel like they can alter a little bit, get back to a little bit more in a different way that would help that group out? I'm kind of like you. I feel like this is always an offense that sort of try to protect their offensive line to a certain extent.
They'll definitely protect the offensive line. That I'm not concerned about. But if you really look at them the last 2 years from an aggressiveness standpoint, they're probably among the most aggressive teams in the country. I mean, really. And I think some of that had to do with the fact that Jackson Dart is not a super twitched up player. There's not a lot that happens quickly for him. Things are a slightly slower, more slower developing player, likes to push it down the field, likes to extend some plays, let guys open up downfield, back shoulders, deep balls, what have you. They've been an aggressive group. I could see them being a little bit more of an efficient group this year, where they're comfortable with the 6-7 yard gain as opposed to trying to constantly manufacture the 20-yard gain. The best example of this was at the end of the game against Florida last year, where Jackson Dart didn't need to force it 20, 25 yards downfield, and yet he did over and over and over again, as opposed to just being methodical 4 yards, 5 yards, 7 yards on a 2-minute drill. He's trying to get it all back with one throw. I think that that's an area where they can probably grow, so it wouldn't shock me if they're slightly more quick game this year than they've been in the last couple.
Yeah, okay. We'll see if Ole Miss goes that direction. When we come back on the other side, we'll hear from Ryan Grubb. We'll hear from Kalen DeBoer on just how things are heading in Alabama's camp. Also, another SEC quarterback. You'll hear from him on winning the starting job next on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. It is 9:38 right here on Jox Friday, August 22nd. Been a great show. Heading into college football tomorrow morning. Are you ready? If not, doesn't matter. It's here. Joey Aguilar, if he's ready to be the Tennessee starting quarterback.
I felt that the scrimmage was hot, and
I would say the only thing I really had to adjust to was the tempo of the offense. I was somewhat in 2023, and I wouldn't say it as tempo as this, but we were pretty on the ball, just not as fast. So just getting used to getting the signal and lining up and going through my progressions was just the adjustment I had to make.
If you're trying to adjust into a new home, Gusty Goulas Group can help. Go to GustyGoulasGroup.com today and see what they can do for you. Serves over 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area. So if anybody knows this market, it's Gusty Goulas and the Gusty Goulas Group. They want to get you into a new home. They want to help you get out of your home. If you want to know how much it's worth, go to GustyGoulasGroup.com, button at the top right of the page. Smash that, very little information. They're going to tell you what they think they can get. Over 850 5-star Google reviews. Call 205-542-1996 or visit GustyGoulasGroup.com. Today, Ryan Grubb on the difference of the Alabama offense now that he's been there.
I mean, that's kind of the obvious one, right? Is we're not necessarily a Jalen Milroe offense right now. Just Jalen was a super talented runner, and that was probably a part of the game plan every week, and which was smart last year by the offensive staff. So I think that's probably the biggest difference.
That might be a good thing, Greg. Might make them a little more balanced, less reliant on individuals and more on scheme, what the defense is presenting, things of that nature.
Yeah, I think that last year was very much about Jalen and how much he improvised and how comfortable he was running the football, especially as they got closer to the goal line. I think that was a big part of what they did. They wanted to play into the strengths of his skill set. What he wasn't is a very efficient passer. He missed some underneaths. He'd missed some layups. He liked to go deep. He was more comfortable going deep, but his numbers and stats throwing it deep weren't great. If you really look at where he really regressed from 23 to 24 on the deep ball. So I'll be curious to see kind of where things go from here. It'll be fascinating. But I'm pretty optimistic about how well-rounded this group is. Would love to have Jam Miller back and available all season long, which stinks. But at the same time, you got to feel pretty good about what they're going to have with kind of everything across the board this year.
Kalen DeBoer, Alabama head coach, from yesterday's practice on now flipping that page towards Florida State.
Introing into Florida State. Here, first reps, we obviously have done a lot of homework and different meeting rooms and things like that. Might have snuck some peeks on film, but as far as coordinated efforts in practice, today was where we started that. So both sides of the ball, all phases of the game. So that was good. And then just update, because I guess I never really have had a chance to address you guys. Jam, with his injury, a little more significant than what I thought when I was there for the press conference with you guys last. Found out more information afterwards. So he'll be out. We'll go week by week, but he'll be out for, first game for sure, and we'll play it from there.
I don't think there's any doubt when you begin to start turning the page, those are a couple of things you're going to pay attention to, and specifically try to point out that Alabama's going to have to be able to manage. We've talked quarterback run multiple times this offseason, Greg. You have to mitigate that to be successful against what we think we're going to get from this sort of Malzahn-Norvell hybrid offense.
Yeah, and I think that one of the weirdest parts about this is that a lot of people have started to make suggestions. Well, Gus Malzahn's known how to dial it up in the past against Alabama. He can do it again. It's a completely different style of defense with how they defend quarterback run, how many eyes are in the backfield. So I don't think using Malzahn's success at times while at Auburn as the play caller against Alabama, using that as an indicator of how this game could go, I think would be irresponsible. Now, I love Thomas Castellano's skill set as a runner, so I know quarterback run's still going to be a huge part of what they do, but I also know that this defense is probably a little better equipped to handle quarterback run because of the vision defense that they play. How do you kind of see that playing out?
No, I'm with you. And we talked about, I think it was Jamie Bailey and I and a couple other Florida State fans were talking last night just about what's this going to look like? What's this offense going to be? Because they were asking about Herb Hammond's the O-line coach. was like, the big question should be what are they going to present offensively? Because, Mike Norvell is a gap scheme power runner. He wants to hit the perimeters. He wants to play action off that. And Gus Malzahn, as you and I both know, it's a little bit different. It's a little more reliant on tempo, getting that defense out of place, spreading you out a little bit, and it becomes downhill as the game progresses, but you have to have success in other places earlier. I don't think Mike has ever intended on, well, our run game is only going to work if these other two things are working. Like they're going to just run the ball. They should be able to accomplish that based on their scheme and their strategy and their skill set of how they do what they do. Where does that mix in? I mean, Mike's had some Q run in the past, but he's never leaned on it heavily. Gus has.
Right.
So I'm just super intrigued to see how Gus and Mike are going to present the offense. That's the biggest question for me. Castellano's skill set, yes. Can he break you down? Of course. Is he dangerous?
No doubt.
Absolutely. But to what extent is he going to be asked to run it? To what extent are they going to design the runs? How many of the runs are going to come off options based on what Alabama's defense has given them? That's the most intriguing part for me as we head into it for this game.
Help me out here. Like, as I've gone back and watched a little more from last year, spent some time on Alabama 2 days, maybe 3 days ago, I don't know, sometime this week. And I actually came away with it feeling a lot better about their personnel on the interior of the defensive line. Now, I know that we have a unique, perspective when taking into account how good Bama's been in the past. Like, I don't think Tim Keenan's going to develop into Quinnen Williams. I'm not suggesting that, but actually came away with it thinking that could be a legitimate strength. Like, I think Tim Keenan was really good last year. The more I watched, the more I was like, all right, he did a lot of nice things. I think with James Smith's growth and the possibility of him becoming a difference maker.
He's the one to watch for me. He's the one that I think nobody's talking about.
He's the next level guy.
He could be. He's got the hand strength and skill set, leverage. Watch his pad level. His pad level is almost never bad. And you and I have talked about a lot of D linemen in this league the last few years that just cannot control their pad level consistently. So I think he's the one, Greg, that if we're at the end of the year saying, man, that dude made some big strides, he's the one that can do it.
Yeah. Well, I think he, along with Tim Keenan's going to eat space. Like, we know kind of what he is. He's going to allow, though, a lot of freedom at the second level and by James Smith to kind of do some different things. Now, you look at Tim Keenan's numbers at season's end, they will not be impressive. Unless they run right into him, they will not be impressive as far as tackles for loss, sacks, pressures, what have you. But I do think his impact was more significant than I probably thought going into this upcoming season. And James Smith's advancement, we know we love Overton. You love what we might see from Latham. We know we love what we might see from Rousseau. I think this defensive line could be a real strength. If things happen the way I think they're going to happen this year, and they need some depth to emerge for sure, but I'm pretty optimistic about where things are right now with this defensive line going into the year.
They got a chance. They really do. And it's not a fair comparison that we throw out. And you laid it out there beautifully. We're going to look at Georgia. We're going to look at Bama. We talked about this with LSU running backs. Like, Caden Durham might be great, but like, we're used to seeing the lower end of LSU running backs be Darius Geis and go for like 1,800 yards.
Yeah, right.
I mean, like that's the okay, I guess we'll settle for him, and it's a guy that goes out there and runs for 230 against you. So there are going to be certain spots that just we anticipate to be in a certain way and look in a certain way. And it might not be that, but that doesn't mean it can't be pretty good, and specifically can't be better than a lot of other places, because that is a position of need for a lot of people in the league right now. And if you need products to help you feel better in your daily routine, whether it's dropping a little bit of weight and getting the Trim by SunMed, it's on the shelves now at your CBD store, largest brick-and-mortar CBD retailer in the world. Go by and tell them you heard about them right here on Mac and Cube. They're going to have products for your skincare, your gut health, you or your pet, arthritis, anxiety for you or your pet. They just want to help your daily routine be better. More energy, more focus throughout the course of the day. They have those products at your CBD store. Stop by one of their 3 locations today and let them make your day better. All right, when we come back, we got our Super Sofa Games of the Week for the first weekend of college football right after this on Jox. Welcome back in. Mac and Cube in the morning, 9:51 a.m. Friday, August 22nd, right here on Jox. You missed any of the show, go to joxfm.com or just go to YouTube, search Jox945. You can rewatch the show there.
Crocker Move Serves is a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys, and you can trust them in your home. And they need your whole home packed up move, your company headquarters moved across country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room. They got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you've purchased and need to get to your home. So call or visit them online today for a free quote. The website's crockermovingservices.com. That's crockermovingservices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Services for your next move.
All right, let's get to our Super Sofa games of the weekend with week 1 of college football starting tomorrow, week 0 technically, first week of it. Greg, which direction you going?
Well, I'm going to go in a different direction because I would imagine this one's getting taken. I'm going to take our adopted sons, the Fresno State Bulldogs, led by E.J. Warner and Matt Entz, head coach there, former head coach of North Dakota State, taking on the Fighting Leipold's from David Booth, Kansas Memorial Stadium, brand new renovated facility. Kansas about a 2-touchdown favorite right now. I will go Fresno and Kansas, 5:30 on Big Fox.
Damian, which direction you going? Super Sofa game of the week.
You know where I'm going. The first one to start it off for college football, 11 a.m. from Dublin, Ireland. Iowa State taking on Kansas State in the Big 12 showdown to start the season off in 2025. Farmageddon, as they call it, is my TD's Fine Furniture Super Sofa game of the weekend.
First one of the year. It'll be good. Does Dublin move the meter for you guys at all in this?
No.
Yeah, I don't care.
Not really.
No. Just give me football.
No, not really. But I'm not mad about it.
Be in Dublin, Georgia, I'd watch it. It doesn't really matter.
Wow. Is Dublin, Georgia a place?
Yes.
Yeah,
John, go.
It does
Love that.
exist. For
Love
me,
that.
I want to see the Dan Muller era begin at UNLV.
Oh.
So for my
And 2
Super
quarterbacks.
Sofa game of the weekend, by the way, you can find your Super Sofa for the entire home at TD's Fine Furniture, where the Labor Day sale means markdowns up to 50% off throughout the store, including markdowns throughout the Flex Steel store. That's TD's Fine Furniture in Summerton. My game, 3 o'clock, UNLV versus Idaho State.
Is it bad that I'm rooting for Orgy? I need Anthony Orgy.
Not the right, yeah.
No, not that. Honestly, I was not trying to go RG3 there.
Yeah.
I really wasn't.
All right, you good, man.
But yeah.
You don't ever have to confuse us for that, pal. We believe you.
Okay. May have a 4 or 5 auto Anthony Orgy that got a PSA 10 recently, so we need that to go. All right, I'm going to go for 2. Greg thought he was going a different direction. I'm going to take a complete left turn on you guys here. Tonight, our new chosen sons. Fresno State's gotten away from being our chosen sons. We can't have them anymore. Soldotna.
Let's go.
Chugiak. Rivalry game, week 2, 6 p.m. on
something.
NFHS Network, wherever you get that. Try to stream it maybe somehow, somewhere. But Soldotna Chugiak tonight. And do not forget, folks, I know it's week 0. It's the first weekend of college football. I get it. I understand it. That doesn't mean there's not playoff football happening, because there is. Tomorrow in the Elf League, the Madrid Bravos and the Stuttgart Surge, 8-4, 10-2 at 1500 CET.
1500 when?
CET.
The Michael Jackson song.
Just telling you what the website says. I don't know. From Gazi Stadion auf der Wardu in Stuttgart, Germany. Not to mention, not to be outdone, Sunday, the Rhine Fire at 8-4 and taking on the Nordic Storm. From Gadasax Stadion, Copenhagen, Denmark.
Okay.
Two, count them, 2 Elf playoff games this weekend. I was having a conversation with the listener last night, Damien, about the Indoor Football League. And I said, still to this day, the most amazing thing that I've ever seen is that game played in the mall. And I was trying to explain it to them. They did not believe me. They were like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm telling you, there was a Sbarro in the end zone. Like 10 feet away from the back of the end zone. And the upper deck of the mall. It was like being in the old Brookwood Mall and the people standing in the upper deck right in front of Foot Locker watching the game. Literally. Like it was Claire's. You walk out 10 feet, upper deck, football game happening right there. They didn't believe me. It was real.
Nope.
I'm telling you guys, it happened.
We seen the tape.
There you go. Super Sofa game of the week. You have to wait for all those games of the week, Greg, but you have to wait for your dental care.
That's because Family Dental has you taken care of. The urgent care office you can see in the same day, several locations to make it easy on you. They can also see you on Fridays and Saturdays, which is great for those of us that have some scheduling conflicts throughout the week. Call them today for an appointment. 874-9605. That's Family Care Dental, 874-9605.
First week of football. What are we doing? How are we setting it up? John, you got the multi-TVs ready?
I will next week, and I don't think maybe that many going
Not
on.
necessarily.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell us you don't love football without telling us you don't love football, John.
Wow.
Didn't you say the
got
punter
him.
would be the thing in the
I'm going
Auburn
to a
USC?
basketball camp this weekend for 2 days, so
Yeah.
I don't like football either.
Thought you knew ball.
Get ready, Bruce. Here we come.